quick. Um,
It says live above your head on my screen, so sounds like we're live.
I'm just checking YouTube. Just want to make sure. We are live. All right, cool. Cool. And we're on like a delay, so I pulled that up and it played your audio. Anyway, so we are live now for the NFL draft. I've been looking forward to this all week and all day. Armand, you are making your return to the show. I believe you've been on the show. At least you've recorded episodes that I have lost because of my old laptop. That's happened at least once with us, maybe twice, and it's happened. It happened several times, but I know for sure with you. And for years, I was like, I got to get Armand on the show. I got to get Armand on the show to make up for it. So, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing really well. Thank you very much, Shane. I appreciate you having me back on. It's great to be back on the Rambling Men Sports Podcast. It's funny, I actually talked to my students about me going on the podcast today because, like kids, they're just like, oh, you're going to be on a podcast? No way. So, you hype
The
them up
thing
a
with these
little bit.
kids is they don't realize anyone can have a podcast, and they just hand those out.
Exactly.
All right, so a little bit about you. I don't remember if you've been on the show before. If you have, it's
I
been
have.
a long time. You have, okay.
Yes, it has been a long time. Sorry, I'm trying to get the draft up on my computer here.
I
Um,
got it on my TV and iPad. So I got ESPN on the TV. I got Pat McAfee on the
oh,
iPad.
love it.
I got to
Yeah, I'm
support
trying to
McAfee.
support McAfee. I'm for it. Um, yeah, the last time I was on the podcast, it's gonna sound a
Oh,
little
that's
dated.
right. You were on the podcast. I know for sure after the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2018. It was
I
me, you, and
was.
James. I do remember that. So, oddly enough, here we are again in
Here we are again.
2025 with the Eagles as reigning Super Bowl champions. So funny how that works. But as for the tens of listeners, if there are that many out there, I don't know. I haven't checked YouTube. Uh, you are a big Eagles fan. I want to explain where we know each other first before we get into the draft stuff. Uh, we met at WVU in the Mountain Layer Chick-fil-A. So all these
Number
years
one
later, here
grossing.
we are. What's that? It was the
Number
number
one
one
grossing.
grossing
We were the number one grossing for a university Chick-fil-A.
at the time. Probably, I don't know if that's the case now, but I did not know that. Interesting. We both worked in the kitchen, and you got not just you, everyone who worked back there with us. Uh, the beginning of I honestly hate the name of our podcast, the Rambling Men Sports Podcast, between James and myself. You guys all heard us talk every single day, especially that second semester in 2015, about the NFL. And I'm sure that y'all didn't care because we were all a bunch of dudes back there. We were all talking
Exactly.
NFL. Yeah. So I honestly, dude, I remember those days fondly. There are many times I go back and I'm like, I honestly miss working in that Chick-fil-A sometimes. A lot of good people in there.
I do agree with you. I do miss working there. I hated how much I got paid, but
Yeah.
I do miss working with the people that we had there. It was great vibes, always great conversation. Um, I couldn't have asked for a better time.
Yeah, it's funny. So, did you graduate in 2015 like I did, or
I
you
did.
you did? Okay. I know James graduated the next year, and he went back to that Chick-fil-A and hated it, and was like, "I miss you guys." Like, because I that was my first year working there. Was it your first year working there as well?
Actually, I worked there my entire time there. So I got there
Oh,
in
okay.
2012, and when I graduated in 2015, that's when I stopped obviously working there.
Okay.
The worst part was minimum wage at that time when I got hired was 7.25, and
Yeah.
then we got those page this yeah, we sound dated.
Yeah.
Um, we got those pay increases every year. My senior year, it would pay went up to 7.50. Guess we didn't get a raise.
I thought it went up to like $8 while
Oh
we were
man,
working there.
if that's the case, I got gypped.
But anyway, that's me, you, James. Go back to that, and we talked a lot of NFL, talked a lot of ball. Will Campbell, off the board for the Patriots. So we'll have all night to reminisce, but let's go ahead and get started on what we've missed so far. We're starting a little late, but we knew this was going to be a tight squeeze.
Yes.
So we missed the first 3 picks, and that's why I didn't want to say, hey, at X time we're going to start, because I didn't know when you would be available, because you had a lacrosse game to coach, and I knew you would be tied up with that. And I was like, whenever you're ready, man, we'll hop on, and we probably wouldn't miss a ton, and we haven't. So first 3 picks, for the most part, 3 out of the first 4 were chalk about how we thought. Actually, 4 for 4, we went as we thought they would go. Now I've forgotten. Cam Ward going number 1 overall to the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Hunter going number 2 overall. Actually, this was a surprise, but he going number 2. And then Abdul Carter going number 3, and Will Campbell going number 4. The big surprise, though, so far is the Jags trading up from the 5th spot to the 2nd spot and gave up what sounds like a decent haul. I haven't really looked into it because I was trying to figure out our technical difficulties while that was all going on. And you were obviously hustling to get on. So, we can look that up, I suppose. What do you think? Kind of chalky so far.
Honestly, so when I was doing my research, which I'm also getting everything open on at my disposal right now, because why be prepared after you shoveled down food down your throat and took a shower real fast.
I just wolfed down my food.
Honestly, I think it's going exactly how I thought it would go. And I had texted you before I got on here, and I was talking to one of my friends after doing some of my research last night, looking at team needs, and I really saw the Jaguars wanting to move up to that 2nd spot. How much they would give up, I wasn't too sure. Just going in, I knew they had 10 picks, and you got 10 picks. Go do something with them. Either, go make a difference in the later rounds for your team, or, hey, you got a new head coach, go out there and go get a difference maker that is going to, be very slim pickings once you get to, 9 to 32 in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a lot of the things that you had put together for your mock draft, and a lot of the stuff I actually agreed with. Like outside the top 10, a lot of players are, roughly about equal ability.
Yeah.
So I do believe that them making that move, making that jump, going up there and going and getting the guy that they need, because outside of BTJ, who's Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball to, right? Who is making a difference on that offense and or on that defense? That defense is hungry, right? Yes, they're coming off a struggling season, a struggling Doug Peterson. Shame, because Dougie P brings success, and then he loses his touch, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But hopefully, this is going to be the spark that the Jaguars can finally, build upon once again.
Yeah. So I have the terms here from Ian Rappaport. So Browns received the 5th pick in the 1st round, the 36th pick of the 2nd round, 126th overall pick in the 4th, and then a 2026 first to move up. To move back to 5. Jags received the 2nd overall pick, which ended up being Travis Hunter, the 104th overall pick of the 4th round, and the 200 overall pick of the 6th round. So quite a haul, honestly, for the Jags to go up and get Travis Hunter. But I agree with everything you said for the most part. This was a very limited draft in terms of elite prospects. There were, I think 5 is a little generous. I think Abdul Carter was one, Travis Hunter was one, and I would throw Will Campbell in there after that. I think it falls a little bit to kind of a 2nd tier. Maybe you throw Mason Graham in there. But as I said on my blog, there's really no difference in this draft between the 11th pick and the 32nd pick, at least for 1st round. But the real depth of this class is going to come in the late 1st to maybe early day 3, like 4th round. There are a lot of, I heard someone say there are a lot of starters in this draft. There's not a lot of stars. And I think that's a good way of describing it. There are going to be good players. Like, this class is loaded with defensive linemen, interior offensive linemen specifically. I think you're going to find some good corners. Oh, and it's loaded at running back. So teams are going to find good players. All right. The Browns coming up here. I'm wondering what they're going to go with. I assume offensive line.
I think this is what they should.
I think this is what they wanted. No, they took Mason Graham. Wow. Okay, I can understand that. That's kind of a need. They want to beef up that pass rush, get someone opposite, or someone to take the attention away from Myles Garrett. But I'm a little surprised with that. But anyway, so about all this Travis Hunter news is obviously huge. And honestly, like as the week was going on, I kept looking at FanDuel all week because that's basically how I determine my mock draft is FanDuel and a little bit of Peter Schrager and Daniel Jeremiah because I'm not plugged in. And the odds, like for example, Cam Ward stayed the same, 20,000. Today, I think it reached 50,000, minus 50,000. But Travis Hunter fluctuated. It was like 600, 900 to at one point it was like minus 3,000 and then it dipped. Just kind of odd. And I think that just goes to show you that Vegas felt really good that he would go number 2, but they were unsure who it would be, I think, because clearly the Browns didn't want him.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, looking at what the needs are for the Cleveland Browns, quarterback obviously is their biggest need because, I mean, that's a disaster. But offensive tackle, running back, wide receiver, those are their biggest needs. So does he necessarily fit into what they have over there right now? I would say no. I think, if it were best available and it's 5 picks later, sure, yeah, yes, that's your best pick. But I don't believe that that would have been the best move for the Browns because at some point in time, the Browns got to stop being the Browns. Plain and simple. They got to stop being
Yeah.
Browns. They got to stop doing, the bad things that they're always known for doing.
Yeah. We can
But
talk
I
about this
do
all day.
like,
So Mason Graham. Go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead. Okay.
No, you go
No,
ahead.
I was going to say, I do like the pick, because you have to. You got to help out your star that you just paid a boatload of money to on defense. You have to help out Myles Garrett, and realistically, you know, if, Abdul Carter doesn't go number 3, he would have gone to Cleveland in a heartbeat if he stays available at that moment. Because, yes, you paid him all that money, but you're not going to pay him all this money just to get triple teamed on the offensive line.
Yeah.
So getting some help on the interior line, on the defensive line, is a great move. Draw at least one of those guys away. Now you help out your star on defense. You keep your defense, continuing to grow, being hungry.
Let's talk about some of these other picks. Cam Ward, Raiders on the clock right now, right? Let's talk about this
Yes.
first. Raiders. There was heavy talk that this was going to be Ashton Jeanty. And then it switched, and everyone thought that Ashton Jeanty was going to the Jags, which is what I had in my mock draft, along with everyone else. And they threw a wrench in that. Right now, I'm buying the offensive line hype. Although Pete Carroll's an old school guy, I mean, he wants to run the football, and the Raiders, that's something the Raiders have not been able to do since Josh Jacobs was there in his rookie year. So I'm going to say this is Jeanty, but if it's Mimbu or Calvin Banks, I wouldn't be shocked.
I would really like to see Genty here. I think it makes a lot of sense. Like you're saying,
Yeah, I
Pete
think he'd be
Carroll,
a great fit with the Raiders.
yeah, and you got to get some help, especially for Gino, some West Virginia love.
Yep.
Uh, but we seen Gino play for a long time. You can't just solely rely on him. You got to get him some help, especially taking a guy who had such a dominant season. And I feel like it also speaks volume when your minority or owner is Tom Brady, and if he's going to evaluate greatness, I hope that he sees it.
Ashton Jeanty off the board. All right, I figured that's how that would go. In the moment, beforehand, not so much. So it's not Mimbu, which is what I had. Not off to the best of starts here. All right, Jets are on the clock now. I don't know, man. This draft, the mock is now fucked, as James said when that trade happened.
I don't want to make you feel
Hang
bad.
on. I need to start promoting that we're live.
Okay.
What's that? What's that? Don't want to make me feel bad about what?
Oh, sorry. That your mock draft that you had from May 31st, you have Genty going sixth to the Raiders and Armand, a fellow Armand, going to the Jets at 7.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the danger. Well, it's not the danger because no one saw that trade coming from the Jags. But I am notorious for just not knowing when to stop believing in the smoke screen, like which smoke screens to believe and which ones not to believe. I'm really bad at that. And that has hurt me on more than one occasion. But so far, I mean, James and I do this contest every year and he usually bests me, but we're the exact same right now. And it's the 3 picks everyone thought would happen: Ward and Carter and Campbell. So I don't know what the Jets will do here. They like, from what Schrager says, Tyler Warren, but the 2 tackles are also there. Membu and what's the other one? Banks. We'll
Yep.
see. My guess is it's going to be Membu.
I think I would like to see them take a offensive tackle here. I really think that they need to like, build up that line. Especially now you have a new regime, right? I'm gonna say this right now. I think that the Jets are gonna, especially under Aaron Glenn, he's gonna want to ground and pound that football,
Mm-hmm.
especially now, especially that you have Justin Fields behind at center. Man, it's got built for speed. He's got the legs to run it. He can throw it. They want to run that football, and they're going to use all 11 of those guys on that field.
Yeah, and remember, he's coming from Detroit, where this whole Detroit rebuild started with Penei Sewell at 6 in 2021. So, and I said that in my draft, or in my mock draft, I didn't think Aaron Glenn would want to start his tenure by drafting a tight end, but that was what everyone, like, that Schrager had Tyler Warren, the Vegas odds said Tyler Warren. So it felt like the momentum had shifted there potentially. Plus, I thought Membu would go 6. And who knows if they would have liked Banks, but that's what I went with. But now I would be surprised if it's not Membu or Banks. As I just said, I think Membu wants to, coming from Detroit, want to start up. It starts up front, which is what you should do.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I'm going to quote your article. I feel like a lot of people have to build off of what the Philadelphia Eagles have done for years, is build in the trenches.
So that's something that I should have said earlier, and I did say this with James on Sunday. I think a lot of teams, and it happens also that the draft coincides with this, teams are going to beef up their trenches, I think, after what Philadelphia just did this year. Like, I genuinely believe Philadelphia, I don't like using this term necessarily, but change the game. Like, I think teams saw that and said, we have got to beef up our O-line. We have got to beef up our defensive front. And it just so happens that this draft, like, is strongest in those areas. Really good defensive linemen, and there are some good offensive linemen, although specifically in the interior. Not a great receiver draft, but and then a lot of good running backs. So I think last year, and not just Philly, Green Bay kind of did it too. You saw a renaissance of just old school football. We're going to run the ball, and that's what helped Philly win the Super Bowl.
100%. And once again, thank you, New York Giants.
Gosh, the Giants. My friend William, my good buddy William from my days in Alabama, is a big Giants fan, and he is not pleased with their regime right now. All right, I got to start promoting that we're live.
All right, do it.
We've been on here for a while. Whoops, shit. All right, Jets are still on the clock. We got all night, man. We got all night. There are going to be lulls.
By the way, while you're promoting here, is it a verbal promotion or is it a social media promotion?
Social media. We could
Gosh,
do verbal. I don't know where, but we could do verbal.
I don't know. Anybody who is watching, hey, Saris, let's go. We're live. We're here giving you 2025 draft coverage of the NFL draft.
All right. Yes,
And
we
somebody,
are. We are not the only ones. I'm sure no one is listening, but don't listen to McAfee. Actually do listen to McAfee. Don't listen to anyone who's not on McAfee's show.
I hope that one day you get the opportunity to be on that show, fellow WV alum.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Hey,
James and I
never
have been
know.
at this for a while, and he's rarely on, and not. I pick on James a lot. It's not him. Like, it's the fact we live in two different time zones. It's just hard to. When I'm getting off work, he's been off work for a while. So like we have gotten in a rhythm, kind of just doing it on the weekend. We're both off. But some days he wants to go have fun. Now he's about to be a dad, so that's going to change things.
Oh, no way.
He is. He's revealed that on the podcast, so I'm not giving anything away that he doesn't want revealed. But yes, he is going to be a dad. Soon.
That's awesome. James, I'm sorry, I'm a couple episodes behind, so congratulations.
I'm going to send him an email. Hang on, I'm clicking off stuff in Facebook.
Yep.
He has a kickball. He said he has a rec league kickball game tonight or something. But I'm going to send him an email anyway. That shouldn't be all night. And maybe he can hop on toward the end and, when Philadelphia's ready to go.
To be fair, I did see on his Instagram his kickball team is now 1-0, so I think the game ended.
Oh, did it start? I guess okay. No wonder he couldn't miss it then.
Oh, the pick is in. The Jets pick is in.
Armand Mimbu. I got that wrong. Shit. I thought I did for a second. And James, goddamn James, he had Mimbu. I should have stuck to my guns.
Fellow Armand, do us proud.
I'm furious. I'm furious over that. Fucking Mimbu. I should have known. And I fall for it every time. And now I'm going to text him that he just took the lead.
The Panthers are on the clock. Do you think the Panthers stay here?
Yeah, my opinion hasn't changed. I don't think there are going to be a ton of trades in this draft. Just not when it's not a great draft. I think teams might be looking for trades and no one's really willing to move up. Maybe here because, someone might like Genty, but I don't think so. I think with Carolina, I think this pick is going to be, Mason Graham's off the board. Probably Jalen Walker, if I were to guess. I would watch out for Mikael Williams, Tyler Warren. I don't think it would be one of the offensive linemen, but maybe. But I'm going to stick with Jalen Walker. That was my pick, and the odds kind of shifted to Mason Graham, but he's now off the board. So, don't rule out Ted McMillan. Forgot about that, and I just saw the notification. This would be I don't think it's going to happen, but don't rule it out. His name has been picking up steam to be a top 10 pick. I just didn't know where he was going. You say that, you can say that however many times, like, this dude's going to be a top 10 pick. This dude's going to be a top 10 pick. Well, there are only 10 spots, so if he's in, someone's got to come out. And I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, I would agree. I wish if I wasn't watching the draft happening on my phone, I probably deleted the notification, but I saw like a I think it was just like a trigger of something. Like they talked about one of these picks that were like I think in the top 10 or 15 that they said that he was a NFL GM said that this player was overrated, and I am drawing such a hard blank, and I'm mad that I don't remember. Um,
It's lying season.
yeah, it is.
That's why I, James and I listen to a lot of John Middlecoff, and he kind of defends the GMs who won't attach their name to certain rumors. And like, this is a business. It's a business. This guy probably wants this player, and he wants him to fall, or try and ways to get him to fall. Says the pick is in. I haven't seen a Twitter alert yet.
No, me neither. Right now, on the TV side, I have a commercial, so maybe that's why.
I get Twitter notifications, so, and I get a lot of them. I haven't seen anything yet. I'm sure they're probably waiting.
So, as this, while we wait for the pick here, Shane, do you have any hot takes at all? Because I know that you don't think that many trades will happen, but do you believe that there will be any trades that may happen that might surprise some people?
Nothing like major. Like we've seen on draft night, like when AJ Brown got traded on draft night for a
Greatest
first
night
round
ever.
pick. Yeah. I don't see anything like that happening. There aren't a ton of names available. Obviously, I think the biggest ones are probably Jalen Ramsey and Jair Alexander, who are kind of Trey Hendrickson, another one, who are kind of sort of like have been on the trading block. But I don't think you're getting a first. Maybe for Trey Hendrickson, you might get a first round pick. I don't think you will for Jair Alexander or Jalen Ramsey. I think their days are not that their days are done. Although Jalen Ramsey seems to have fallen off. Jair, I just can't stay healthy, and he might be done too, from a ability standpoint. I don't see anything major. I don't think you're going to see a team move up into the strike that. I think you could see not the Cleveland anymore, but like the Giants move back into the first round. I would say watch out for that.
I honestly, that's what I was thinking as well. I
I
do
thought you
think,
meant like you said hot takes. I was thinking like any big veterans that are going to get moved for a first, and I'm like, I
oh,
don't see it happening.
yeah, I don't really see that really happening either. Like I saw like the one crazy one that said like, that Brees Hall's on the trade block and he's going to get traded tonight, possibly. I don't really see that
That
happening
doesn't
at
make
all.
sense.
No, it makes no sense. You have 2 years left on his deal. Why you trading away your rookie running back? Who you trading him to? Who's your backup? It makes
Who's
no
going to trade
sense.
for a running back? I don't think
Denver.
anyone's going to trade for a running back.
Denver would.
Not with this. Not with this rookie class. I don't think so, but we'll see.
He's still, I mean, theoretically, he's still on his rookie contract.
Who?
Brees Hall.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Yeah, I mean, he's got at least one more year of a rookie contract because he wasn't a first round pick. He shouldn't have a fifth year option. You said 2. I don't know if that's right or not. I think it's one more year because I think he was 2022 because he was at Iowa State in
Oh,
2021.
no, no, no. I was saying like this is his second year in the league because his first year he really did. Or is it his third year? No, no,
I I
because
think it's his. I think this was just his third year. I mean,
his
here it
first
is.
year was
I
washed.
typed in Brees Hall. Here it is. I mean, Brees Hall issues cryptic post amid trade rumors. We'll see. All right. There it is. Tet McMillan. Okay. Yeah, 2022 is when Brees Hall was drafted. All right. So Tet McMillan goes in the top 10. Not a huge surprise. It seemed like things were trending this way as the week progressed. And I had him going 12 to Dallas, and I even said in my mock, it seems like he's going to go in the top 10. I just don't know where. And Carolina, other than maybe Jacksonville, was a likely landing spot for him. Carolina just doesn't. They drafted Xavier Legette last year, so they could have been patient there, I suppose. But they are an organization that just has struggled since the days of Cam Newton. Their owner is very impatient. I think he wants to get this offense humming. They want to help Bryce. What's his name? You got Breece Hall on my mind. Bryce
Young.
Bryce Young. Thank you. They want to get him help and try to be competitive.
No, I agree. Your number 2 wide receiver at the time is Adam Thielen. You gotta help him out. Gotta help the man out.
And McMillan, I like McMillan. He has concerns, mostly medical. I think he dealt with a lot of concussions in high school, college. By the way, this pick is wrong. Let me fix that real quick on my mock. We're not doing so hot. I'm 3 for 8. James is 4 for 8. Motherfucker, Armand Bamboo. If he gets Mikael Williams right, I'm gonna end this stream. Which is probably what I should have done. Is Mikael Williams? That was who I had, and I changed it.
You know what I would love to see right here at 9?
What's that?
Which I heard this take earlier this week.
I wouldn't rule out Jalen Walker here.
Honestly, I would love to see Shedeur Sanders go here.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see it.
It would be interesting. It would stir a lot. And I mean, and that's not stupid to say that. Like, there was buzz there. And Derek Carr has had some cryptic comments, like that he's hurt or whatever. He's not going to be ready for the season. And it's kind of been overblown. But I don't think that's going to happen, because the Saints are a very present-minded team. Like, they think in the present. They don't look ahead. They draft for immediate need, and they don't really force it, but it's hard to force that when you're drafting at the top of the order almost every year. No offense. So I expect them to go O-line or defensive line here. Possibly Jalen Walker, possibly Mikael Williams, or Kelvin Banks Jr. I think it's one of those 3. Now that McMillan's off the board, that was kind of a surprise. I don't think it'll be Genty, but don't rule that out either. Still on the board. If Chicago is probably going to get Genty, and that infuriates me that things, not that I'm scared of them, but that things keep falling in Ryan Poles' lap and Chicago's lap these last few years.
Genty went.
Oh shit. Yeah, you're right. My bad. He went 6.
Yeah, he went to the Raiders.
Okay. Don't rule out Tyler Warren then here then.
Yeah, no, I think that Tyler Warren's a great pick. Top tight end in this draft. I would not be opposed to seeing him go here. Honestly, I just really love what Kellen Moore brings to the table. And as I'm going to be a huge homer, because I thought he did an amazing job with the Philadelphia Eagles for his 1-year stint that he was with us, and getting himself a nice Super Bowl ring. But that's the reason why I bring up Shedeur Sanders, because I think that now we all know that Dion wants the best for his kids.
Yeah.
Why would you not want him to get drafted to an offensive-minded head coach that's coming off of a Super Bowl win? That's why I put it out there, because, he's in reality, he's stepping into a really great situation, because yes, you don't know if Derek Carr is actually going to play this season or not, with all of these cryptic tweets, all these cryptic messages. I can play. I can't. I'm not going to play. No one knows. It's very up in the air. I saw enough last year from Spencer Rattler to know that he's not the guy. And I knew that. I knew that back when he was at Oklahoma, that he's not the guy.
Yeah.
So
I could tell you, based on draft position, he was a 5th round pick or something. That just, those guys typically don't work out.
No. And as I'm looking on the screen right here, the Saints just had, they're ready. They're ready. They're on the screen here. But they just had Archie Manning on the screen as a quarterback from the New Orleans Saints. So maybe
Arch Manning or Archie Manning?
No, Archie Manning.
The old Archie Manning.
Yes, okay. The OG Archie Manning. So I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I haven't seen an alert. Goes O
Goodell is
line.
walking
Calvin
out.
Banks. Yes, I'm back in the game, baby. I said on my mock, and I felt stupid for it. This team only thinks in the present. And I said it on my mock. I was like, their most immediate need is right tackle after Ryan Ramchek's retirement. Ah, it feels good. This feels good. Back in the game, baby. I take this very seriously. All right, I'm at 4. 4 for 9. And I said going into this draft that if I can get 4, like I'd be satisfied. Just this draft, we had a feeling would be very unpredictable, especially outside the top 10.
Yeah, because now you have the Bears at 10, and
Probably
you know
Tyler
you.
Warren, and then I'll lose my lead because James has Tyler Warren.
I Now that I know this, yeah, I think that's a good
Yeah.
intuition by him.
Let me double check. Yeah, he's got Tyler Warren. I have Mason Graham, so he's off the board. Tet McMillan's off the board. Calvin Banks is off the board.
If Calvin Banks didn't go to the Saints just now, I think he was going as a Bear. He was going to be a Bear.
I think that's a possibility. Yeah. Okay. I think a defensive lineman's in play here too. I would keep an eye out for Walter Nolan, Mikael Williams. But yeah, I think it's Tyler Warren, Mikael Williams, or who's the other one? Walter Nolan, I just said. So it depends on how you view Nolan. His name originally was like a late first guy, and his name has picked up steam this week. I have him going 11 to the Niners, but the Bears like could use more help on the defensive front. They spent money on Grady Jarrett. They spent money on the dude from the Colts. I don't know how to pronounce his name, and I'm gonna butcher it. But like I think there's still work to be done up there. They could use some other guys to take attention away from Montez Sweat. Off the wall pick Omari and Hampton. I think that they really want to get their O line going, their run game going. O line, I don't think is going to happen here unless it's Tyler Booker. But you just spent money on, or you traded for Joe Thuney. You acquired the dude from the Rams. I forget his name. To beef up, and then you spent money on a center during free agency. I know I'm going long here, but I don't think an interior offensive lineman is in play. If it's an offensive lineman, it's probably a tackle, and I don't think there's one on the board right now. At least where you would get good value.
No, I would agree. I would agree with that. But yeah, I think that Tyler Warren has to be the pick here.
I would imagine it's Tyler Warren.
He's the best available at the moment. For where he is right now, I think it's best available.
Yeah, I agree. I gotta keep uploading to social media.
All I know is that the Bears pick is in.
Okay. Again, not many trades, just the one so far.
Also, did you realize that this is the second year in a row where every team has a first round pick?
I don't think that was the case last year, was it?
Last year was the first year that in a while that every team had a first round pick.
I don't think it was last year.
Or was it the year before? Maybe I'm misremembering. Man, old age hit me like a ton of bricks, man.
Let me look. I don't think that's right, but I could be wrong. You mean like going into the draft? I don't remember that happening.
Yeah, I think going into the draft because like the Rams really set themselves back a lot of years when they gave up all of those first round picks.
Oh, you mean the Rams? Okay. No, so the reason why I was confused is because this is the first time I want to say since 2014 that all 32 teams have their first round pick going into this first round. There's not a trade going in. But were you referring to just the Rams?
Well, I was referring to every team actually having a pick in the first round.
Okay, well, okay, no, you might be right because the Panthers traded back. Well, no, the Chiefs traded out, or someone traded out.
That's going to bother me. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure this is the first time since like 2014 that we went into the draft with all 32 teams having their. It's irrelevant.
It is relevant.
It's irrelevant. Let's see here. Picks coming up. Colston Loveland? No way. Is it Colston Loveland?
Yeah, let's see.
I haven't seen anything, but
No,
Kinley
not
Platt
yet.
says Colston Loveland sounds like. Yeah, that's what Kinley Platt's saying. And he handles relative athletic score, which is something it basically measures how your physical traits during the draft and things like that. During the combine, how athletic are you compared to your size? He's the only thing I've seen so far.
Yeah, Goodell's just talking on the stage right now.
Well, I think he's given condolences to. It sounds like to Steve McMichael, who's I think a Hall of Famer who passed away. Maybe the owner McCaskey, she passed away too this year. McAfee's stream stopped.
Oh no.
That might be my problem. No, Wi-Fi is working.
Yeah, we're still here. We're still live. So anybody who's watching, share this on your streams.
It's Colston Loveland. Wow.
Wow.
So I had Mason Graham there. James is on the right track, but he had Tyler Warren.
Yep. Right idea. Wrong name.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? You're still in it, though.
I'll take it. We're tied up, baby. That's all that matters. All right. Loveland's off the board. I had him going 14 to the Colts. We both did.
Well, Bleacher Report just compared Colston Loveland's. I don't know if you see it. Who would you compare him to, pro-wise, if you had to take any kind of guess that they compared him to?
Is it a tight end?
It is a tight end. And I will say you just mentioned the team a moment ago.
I just mentioned the team a moment ago. It's got to be George Kittle. I said the Niners.
The Colts. I think the Colts.
Who was the dude for Manning? That was way back in the day. But you're saying this is his comp?
That's his pro comp. I'll give you 5 more seconds.
Dallas Clark.
Oh. No. Kobe Fleener.
Okay. That was another one that came to my mind. Not his name, but I was like, there was also a dude with Andrew Luck. Okay. I can see that. Loveland, not a big yak guy. But I think he's going to be a really good red zone target. Seems like a good blocker coming from a program like Michigan, where they are definitely coaching him to block. Just depends on your take. Like when it comes to receivers, like it depends on what you need and your taste. Like, do you need a yak catcher, like a pass catcher, like Tyler Warren would be? Do you want someone a little more complete like Loveland? Do you want a big body receiver like Ted McMillan? Do you want a smaller receiver like, not that he's small, but Emeka Ibuka? Or do you want a deep threat like Matthew Golden? It just depends on taste. That's why they're hard to, unless your name is Marvin Harrison Jr. and you're a heavy favorite to go number 4 overall. That's why sometimes those can be tricky to get right in a mock draft. I remember in 2020, James and I going into that draft, I believe Jerry Jeudy was considered the top receiver in that draft, and he ended up being the third, maybe the second off the board. And we said going into that draft, keep an eye out for Henry Ruggs ended up in prison, but you said keep an eye out for Henry Ruggs, and that's who it ended up being. Henry Ruggs. Speed kills in the NFL.
I will leave that right there.
All right, Niners on the clock. Mikael Williams, Shamar Stewart. Who was the one I had? Walter Nolan, Shamar Stewart, Mikael Williams, Walter Nolan, and I'll say Tyler Booker. If they go anything else, I'll be surprised. They really need to hammer trenches.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Line they have to work on the line, both sides.
Lost a lot,
Yeah,
but you got to start up
yes.
front.
You got to start up front. This year was definitely a bad year for the 49ers. Coming off a strong season the season before, and now you have to protect Purdy because now Purdy's going to be taking up a lot of that money. So if they have
Mm-hmm.
11 picks in this draft. Use 11 of those picks
I
and
would
build
look
your
into
team.
trading back and really trying to round out this roster the best you can for this year. But we'll see if they're able to do that. I mean, not again, it's similar to my top 10 argument. You can say you should have traded back all you want. I remember my friend arguing that when Green Bay drafted Jordan Love. Well, you should have traded back if the board didn't fall your way. I'm like, do you understand that it takes two to tango? You got to have someone willing to trade up, and I don't know if there was one.
Sorry, are you still there? You kind of froze up a little bit on me.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Your face is frozen. I hear you. You were coming in a little like robotic at it for a second.
Well, I'm hearing it fine. So maybe just communication error.
Yeah,
We have
one of the
one watching, and that is me. I don't give a shit, man. I do this for fun. I do as what does Frank Caliendo say when he does a John Gruden impression? I do this shit for free.
honestly, I admire that you keep this going. I think it's great that you still do it. I know that this is your passion. I know that you love doing this. So I'm glad to see that you still have this going on.
I mean, it's challenging. Like it's a hobby. It's hard to do this and have a career. I admire people that do it. I don't know how you do it. I come home, I just want to relax and watch TV, and I'm like, I could podcast. I could podcast every day if I wanted to, and just come home, but you're just exhausted. You want to go to bed. You want to hang out. You want to catch up on a show. You want to read. Like I like to read. Pick is them, by the way, from the Niners. It's been a lot of fun. When James and I started this, we didn't think it would go this long, and I'm on this more than he is. And I'm not trying to make James look bad. He would acknowledge it. But we just have fun with it. We love football, and once this is over, we're probably not going to have a show for a while. We might try to do a winners losers of the draft or something like that, or just who had a really good draft, who didn't. And then we might not do anything for a while because then baseball starts and yeah, baseball's just I like baseball. It's just not that fun to talk about.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I will say this. I mean, at least baseball has become also now you are back moving live again. Um, it's baseball has gotten better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like
I
I
enjoy
think
watching it, but like it's an everyday sport, man. Like, what am I gonna do? Come on here every day and talk baseball? Maybe once a week, but
who do you like for baseball again?
I'm honestly kind of a casual. Although I say that my favorite. I have two teams. I have the Cincinnati Reds and the New York Mets because I have family ties to both. I would say maybe more of a Reds fan because my dad is a diehard Reds fan. My brother is a diehard Reds fan. They are the Goodell on the stage. But they are the baseball fans in our family. I did not get that. I am an outlier in both of my mom's family and my dad's family. I'm a football fan. Her dad, my mom's dad, was a baseball fan and loved baseball. He loved football too. Mikael Williams off the board.
Wow.
To the Niners. So that's not surprising. His name was coming up for top 10 picks. He was a favorite to go to the Saints on FanDuel. And again, it was just one of those situations where there are 10 spots, like someone's going to be left out. I don't know who, but somebody. And right now that's Tyler Warren who's left out. And Mikael Williams just picked up steam late, but no one thought he was going to be a top 10 pick throughout this whole process. So
No, and I agree. I think it's great that he's getting picked here. They need help on the edge. So, good pick. It's a good pick.
Yeah, they needed someone to, again, I thought looking at their roster, they needed more help in the interior, but they could have gone either way there. Like they needed help at both edge and in the interior, but at least on the edge, you had Nick Bosa. So maybe you looked at the interior, but they go edge, but that also fills a need. So it's not a big deal. What were we talking about? Oh, baseball. Like I said, my dad's the baseball fan. His dad's a baseball fan. My brother's a baseball fan. My mom's dad was the baseball fan. I like it, but I was always a football guy. So,
Yeah, I would say,
it's not like I grew up in a house where no one watched football. My dad loves football, but he just loves baseball more.
no, that's completely understandable. Um, yeah, I would say I'm a very casual baseball fan.
I like it. I enjoy it. I've watched more baseball this year. And granted, we're only about a month in, but I've watched baseball almost every single day this year. I find this. I think this is the most fun. We're in the middle of an NFL draft podcast and we're talking baseball. I think this is the most fun baseball that we've had since the steroid era.
Wow. Okay,
I
that's a
don't think
take.
that's a hot take.
No, but I think that it's interesting because I will say that the play has definitely improved.
Well, there's
Uh,
more offense. You have
yes.
the bigger bases to help with stealing. You have fewer pickoff attempts. You have the pitch clock, all that stuff. It's made the game quicker. You have the California rule and extra innings with a runner on second. It's just more and more offense, and I think that draws people. It should at least. I mean, the NFL has never been more offensive heavy than it is right now, and people love it. One, because Roger Goodell is a really good marketer, and two, because I think people like offense. They don't like 10 to 13 to 10 games.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Everybody that watches sports, I feel like, is definitely more like, hey, how much more can you do? Even me as a coach, like I always harp on my offense. I'm just like, offense, let's go, get it together. I still have to, grind on my defense and be like, hey, you guys got to lock it down. But offense, if you're
Pick
not
is
doing
in, by the
nothing,
way, for the Cowboys.
oh,
Keep an eye out for, I think this is offense. Keep an eye out for Tyler Booker. Yep, Tyler Booker off the board. I was going to, with Mikael Williams, with Ted McMillan off the board, they could have gone receiver, but that was going to be the next person I said was going to be a receiver. But Schrager had Tyler Booker, and Tyler Booker was the name. The NFL was much higher on him than I think the draft analysts were, and I was pretty confident he would go somewhere in the teens within the top 20 from 11 to 20. I just didn't know where. I put him at 16. James put him at 18. So we were both kind of on the same page. It's going to be somewhere in here. We just don't know where.
I mean, I think it's a good pick. Guard out of Alabama.
I do too. He can't move. He can't move, but dude's a mauler. And Jerry Jones loves having a good run game, and I think he's going to help a lot with that. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, you lose Zach Martin for
that too.
retirement, and you got to replace a guy that's had literally 5 holding penalties in his entire NFL career, which is also mind blowing. So
Miami coming up here with the 3 offensive linemen, 4 if you count Booker, off the board. I would imagine it's a corner. With the news about Jalen Ramsey, I would imagine maybe a safety. Maybe they go Malachi Starks, or Nick Emenwari is another name who has picked up steam throughout the draft process. I would imagine it's a corner. I would say Jahdae Barron. It could be a defensive lineman, but they went D-line last year, and they have Jalen Phillips, they have Chop Robinson, and Bradley Chubb. I think they're okay there. Mason Graham's off the board. Could be Walter Nolan. Okay, so probably Walter Nolan, Jahdae Barron, Will Johnson, Malachi Starks, Nick Emmanwori. I'll say those 5. Keep an eye out for this pick. All right, I didn't mean to cut you off. I gave you a moment there, and then I cut you off to talk Miami.
No, it is 100% okay. I actually, for looking at one of the mocks that I had looked at last night, because I didn't have time to actually make my own. This one,
I was wondering if you. I should have probably asked if you wanted to do that and get in on this challenge that James and I do every year.
I'm gonna hold you to it for next year.
Okay, we can do that next year. If you want to come on next year, definitely.
I will reserve my NFL draft date for next year.
Hey, I'm all for it, man. I don't like doing. I hate doing this by myself. There's no way in hell I would do a show like this by myself.
Oh no, it's hard. Like
it's 3 hours of just talking, and you can't do that by yourself. I can maybe get away with it for an hour, but it's all right. Who's up next? What do I got here? And I can't just defer. Hey, man, what do you think here? I love that. I love getting other people involved. It's a collaboration.
100%. Like even if you had your own radio show, hey, they're not just sitting there and just like beating the dead horse.
No,
they got the other
even
people there talking.
If it's just their show, like Colin Cowherd, well, he has multiple guests an hour. So
the mock draft that I had found has Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan, and that was from Mike Florio.
Okay. West Virginia's own. Mike Florio. A lot of people don't know that, but he is from West Virginia.
That's why I went with my heart on that one. Keep the roots strong.
It could be Will Johnson. It just depends. Jahdae Barron is seen as more of a versatile player, probably going to be more of a nickel in the NFL. Just depends on what you value. Do you want a nickel who might be able to play perimeter, or do you want like a true perimeter corner in Will Johnson? The Vegas odds favored Jahdae Barron to be the first DB off the board, not named Travis Hunter. So we'll see.
I mean, if I'm Miami, and especially with this news about Jalen Ramsey coming out, I think I have to go with a guy that's going to be able to play on the perimeter because and I'm not going to lie, and I don't know much, how many games of Miami Dolphins that you watched last year, but Jalen Ramsey did not look good at times.
He's fallen off.
There was times where I saw him literally on the ground at the start of a play, and I'm just like, dude, come on, like, what are you doing?
Miami, man, that roster. A couple of years ago, we were saying, and I didn't think this team was a real Super Bowl contender, but I said going into, I think 2023, like maybe 2022, that this is probably the best roster on paper in the NFL. And now they've lost everyone. Christian Wilkins is gone. Jalen Ramsey is on his way out. Teron Armstead is retired. Like this team is bleeding left and right. And I like the Niners. I don't know where you begin. I think you'd rather start in the trenches, but the board hasn't really fallen your way here.
Yeah, I would agree.
They could still go trenches. I wouldn't be shocked if I'd be surprised if this is an edge rusher because they have bodies at that position. But interior D line, like if Walter Nolan goes here, I wouldn't be shocked. I keep an eye on maybe Kenneth Grant too, but I would say that this is going to be a corner. The best two are still on the board, depending on which one you like more.
Yeah, I think that they should address the defensive line. I think that would be smart of them to do. And like you're saying, they're losing guys left and right here. And honestly, if Tua goes down again, that team is dead in the water.
Again, it could be offensive line. I just don't think there's a tackle available where you would get value for it. Taking Josh Simmons here, who's a true tackle, is pretty early for my taste. Losing Teron Armstead is huge, and you might be able to find a guy on day 2, but go look at the top offensive tackles in the game and tell me how many of them are day 2 players or day 3 players. There aren't very many.
There's not many.
The only teams that I think are capable, like are the best of the best at doing that, are Philadelphia and Green Bay. Honestly, my Packers are the best of the best at drafting offensive linemen and developing them in later rounds. Every other team in the league, for the most part, needs to draft these guys early, except interior offensive linemen, because those are kind of plug and play guys.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. By the way, while we're waiting for the pick to be in, I'm not gonna lie. How excited were you, at least to know that the Green Bay Packers were, or the city of Green Bay
Yeah, we
was
haven't talked about that
hosting?
enough. I was very excited. I wanted to go, and then just the closer we got, I was like, I'm not going to make it. It looks fantastic. I'm watching on ESPN and on McAfee. The crowd, the people of Green Bay showed up. People of Wisconsin showed up. I wasn't surprised at that because they love their Packers and they are a national brand. Um, it just looks great. I wish I was there. I'm jealous that I'm not. Pick is in, by the way, for the Dolphins. Um, I wish I was there. I've been to one of these before in Philadelphia with James, and that was the year they won the Super Bowl. It was 2017, and it's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't been to an NFL draft live, Kenneth Grant, I said Kenneth Grant coming off the board. Wow, that's early. That is early.
Defensive tackle, Michigan.
Mm-hmm. I had him going 22 to the Chargers.
All right. Well, hey, they heard you. You got to build in the trenches.
They needed to find, and they didn't really do it last year. They really needed to find a replacement for Christian Wilkins, and they think Kenneth Grant is that. And I think Kenneth Grant's a good player. A lot of good interior defensive tackles in this draft.
It's probably the deepest I've seen this a draft like this in a while.
The best I've ever seen, and I haven't done this a long time, but 2017, the year Philadelphia hosted, that was the best draft I've ever seen. That was Myles Garrett, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. There were a ton of other players. Let me look. Marshawn Lattimore. Let me look it up.
I actually wanted to go to that draft, never made it.
I highly recommend. Next year's in Pittsburgh. That might be an easier trip for me, honestly. I have an aunt who lives in West Virginia. I could just crash with her. So 2017 was Myles Garrett, Mitch Trubisky, Solomon Thomas, Leonard Fournette, Corey Davis, Jamal Adams, Mike Williams, Christian McCaffrey, John Ross, and then here's where it gets interesting. Patrick Mahomes, Marshawn Lattimore, Hassan Reddick, Derek Barnett, Malik Hooker, Marlon Humphrey, my high school's own Marlon Humphrey, Hoover, Alabama, Jonathan Allen, and then Adoree Jackson, OJ Howard, Garrett Bowles, Evan Ingram, Tre'Davious White, David Njoku, TJ Watt. So it was a loaded draft that year. There were a lot of good players who came after the first round too. I was just going through the first round. Indianapolis, it's already in. Okay, Indianapolis on the clock. I'll be shocked if this isn't Tyler Warren. Yeah, really want.
Yeah, I mean, needs this draft offensive guard, tight end, tackle. They had seven. You got to hit on one of these. You guy that's got that as Tyler Warren at the spot. Got to take him.
Yeah, I think Tyler Warren's a really good pick. Not crazy about. I don't know. Tight end is one of those. I don't think you have to draft one in the first round, but
recent history has been proving us, kind of wrong though.
Why is that?
I mean, just look at oh my God, I'm gonna hate myself because I'm gonna be mad at myself when I go back and watch this later. Dude on the Rams or on the Raiders.
Oh, Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers. Yes. Yeah, told you I'm gonna hate myself later for that one. Yeah, Brock Bowers. Dude's coming from a pedigree at Georgia. Dude had a hell of a season when he was there, and then comes in and breaks the record set by um, the receiving record set by. Oh my God, man! I hate when people's names are on the tip of your tongue and then you just draw hard blanks.
I'm
Eh,
unfortunately still doing some promotion, trying to at least.
Puka, sorry, got it.
Puka.
When Yeah, because Puka set the rookie receiving the most receiver or the most receptions by a rookie receiver the year beforehand, and Brock Bowers broke it this year as a rookie tight end because then him and Malik Neighbors
Oh,
were
you mean
in.
Puka Nakua? Okay, NFL record. Okay,
Yes, NFL record, because then
I thought you
he
meant a
was in
Georgia
it.
record.
Oh, no, 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 NFL record, because he was then competing for most yards in the season with Malik Neighbors.
Okay, okay. Tyler Warren off the board. Surprise! I'm not surprised he lasted this long. Tight ends don't typically go in the top 10. TJ Hawkinson is an exception to that. As we saw last year with Brock Bowers, fell out of the top 10. A lot of people thought he would go in the top 10 and he didn't. Not a huge surprise. But this is what everything had seemed like it was leading up to with Indianapolis, that they would go tight end here. They want to get Anthony Richardson more playmakers, and Tyler Warren is that. He is a playmaker. He's a yak kind of receiver or tight end, pass catcher, whatever you want to call him, and gives Anthony Richardson someone in the middle of the defense to throw to.
Fun fact that just popped up on my stream for ESPN. Do you know that Tyler Warren, in his career offensive snaps, has played 545 snaps at slot wide receiver, one at
Hmm.
center, 45 at quarterback, 150 lined up in the backfield, 165 set for a split end, and at 1,119 reps at tight end.
Say all those numbers again. I was kind of tuned out.
So at slot wide receiver, 545 snaps, and lined up in the backfield, 150 snaps. At center, one snap. At quarterback, 45 snaps. At split end, 165 snaps. And at tight end, 1,119 snaps.
What was the first one that was 500?
Slot wide receiver.
Okay. A lot of work in the slot. He's a pass catcher. I don't know what kind of a blocker he is, but dude can make plays after the catch. Going to be a problem in the red zone for a lot of teams in that Colts offense. So Atlanta coming up. Atlanta really needs to bolster their pass rush. I say this every year. They need to beef up their pass rush. However, they have not done that ever, like in the last 5 years. Since 2021, they've gone offense in the top 10. They went with who's the tight end from Florida? Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts in 2021. Drake London, I think 2022. 2023 was Bijan Robinson. I might have those flipped. And then last year was Michael Penix. So they've weird allocation there of resources, in my opinion. And I'm not bashing them for the Michael Penix pick. I'm a Green Bay fan. I believe in investing in the quarterback position.
I really loved that pick last year because
I
actually
really like Penix.
I really like Penix as well.
It was
But
more that you just paid Kirk Cousins $180 million or something. Like it was a little different with Aaron Rodgers. Like at least he was like coming to the end of a contract, coming off kind of a down year. Like, but it's Kirk Cousins. Like you knew what you were paying for, and you paid him a lot of money. I don't know, just didn't make a ton of sense in the moment. But, like I said, I'm always a believer in investing at the quarterback position. I don't care who your quarterback is. I don't care if you have Patrick Mahomes and if you take a quarterback, I don't have a problem with it. You should always be doing your homework at the quarterback position.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that the Falcons really do need to hit the defensive side of the ball here. They only have 5 picks,
Do they
so you
really?
got to, yeah, they only have 5 picks.
I didn't
So
know that.
they really have to make sure that they're hitting on at least this first pick because they don't have much to kind of gamble with. Their biggest needs are defensive tackle and center, like you said. But also, I bring it to the point of, how you're naming all of these offensive players that they are, getting in the first round at least in these past drafts. Look at their head coaches. They were all offensive minded coaches. So, go, I mean, mind you, minus last year with Penix, and they needed a draft for the future. I think again, quarterback, you should be looking for that. Um, Raheem Mostert has to go out there. He's got to go out there and go get a defensive guy. He coming from a defense as a defensive head coach. You have to go out there and get a defensive guy.
So names to keep an eye on here. I think Mike Green is a great fit for this defense. Raheem Morris, I think. Well, Mike Green's a smaller edge rusher. He's only about 6'3", 250. But I'm pretty sure Raheem Morris, and this doesn't matter a ton today, but runs a 3-4 defense, I'm pretty sure, with stand-up linebackers. 6'3", 250 fits that outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. I think Mike Green is perfect for it. He's very twitchy, pass rush specialist. Like, this is what Atlanta needs. If it's not him, keep an eye out for Shamar Stewart.
I also got Jalen Walker on the board still.
Yeah, okay. Jalen Walker, that's another one still on the board. I wouldn't be shocked if it's him. And then one of the corners. I would imagine this is defense. I don't see it being a receiver. It's not a running back after you just took Bijan Robinson, I don't think. All the offensive linemen are off the board. The tight ends are off the board. Unless they go crazy with a receiver or running back, I don't see it being offense. This has to be defense. I like the Jalen Walker idea. I think that's someone that they could go after. Just a versatile player, kind of a tweener between an off-ball linebacker and an edge rusher. Gonna be able to rush the passer somewhere, whether that's coming off the edge. I think he's too small to be an edge, but coming off the edge or at the second level as an off-ball linebacker, he's going to be able to get pressure on the quarterback.
I agree. And also, size, yes, does play a factor, but if I had to compare him, maybe I'm comparing him to Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith is a smaller defensive end, outside linebacker, edge guy. So
yeah,
but
and you're complaining about an inch. I think Jalen Walker's like 6'1", 245. That's not, if he was 6'2", 245, that wouldn't be ridiculous. I think we'd have a different view. It's the fact he's 6'1", 245 or something like that. Maybe 240. That's not, you're talking about this much. It's not that big of a deal. And this is a good spot for him, honestly, in that 3-4 defense where you don't need to be 6'5", 270 coming off the edge.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning, I want to smell like 5'9" once. I just, if I had that extra inch, I'd be a little bit happier in my day.
I would kill to be 6 feet tall, and I'm not. And I'm not. You've been around me. I'm not short. I'm above average for male height, but I would kill to be like 6'1", just higher than 6 feet. You know what I mean? Where you can tack on another number after 6 feet.
That's fair. Hey, even if I had 3 numbers, give me 5'10". 5'10", I'm okay.
I'm about 5'10". Without shoes, I'm more 5'9" and 3/4 probably.
Yeah, my wife likes to tell me all the time, "Hey, you gotta take off your heels." Hey, I can't help that my shoes have a big lift. I can't help it. The Brooks,
Pick his end,
Jalen Walker.
Is it Jalen Walker? Good call.
Jalen Walker.
Yeah, so we were just talking about this. If in the moment when you said, I was like, yeah, I bet that's who it is. Just good football player, kind of a tweener. Don't know where he's going to play, but I think he'll make an impact. Just a good player.
Oh, Bleacher Report says his pro comparison is Shaq Barrett.
I don't know how tall Shaq Barrett was.
Me
but that's
neither.
A good comp to be compared to Shaq Barrett. So now Arizona's on the board. The board has fallen, I think, really well for them. You still have Shamar Stewart. You still have Mike Green. You still have the top 2 corners. I think it would be one of those 4 players. I don't think it would be one of the safeties. I would expect, even though he's considered, depending on where you look, a top 10 player in this draft, I think Malachi Starks is going to fall. Well, let me preface this with the safeties before I get into that. Safety is a position that the NFL has seemed to have devalued in recent years. Since 2021, I believe, there are only 2 safeties to be drafted in the first round. One is Kyle Hamilton, and there's another one I think that I'm forgetting. It hasn't happened each of the last 2 years. And I think they were in the same draft. Kyle Hamilton at 14 to the Ravens. Yeah. Okay, so it happened 3 times in 2022. My fault. Daxton Hill at 31 in 2022 and Lewis Cine at 32 in 2022. So this is a position that the NFL has just devalued, it seems like to me. And Malachi Starks, I pick on him because he didn't test very well. And look at Brian Branch. Look at safeties who don't test well. What happens to them? They fall to the second round like Brian Branch did. Good player, but I think the NFL wants guys who test well at that position.
I mean, safety is a hard position, and it's a shame that it's a.
And I would want an
devalued.
athlete there, and that's why I think Nick Emmanwori is going to probably sneak in the first round. He tested very well.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that.
But Arizona, let me. Honestly, I think a receiver's in play here. I think that's a little off the wall, but I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. Also, Walter Nolan's on the board. I forgot about him. I think that's exactly what they need. If they're going to add to their defensive front, I think they need to do it in the interior. Not so much at edge. They have bodies at edge, but wouldn't hurt to have one more edge rusher in there. But they don't have to go defensive front. I looked the other day. I think they're okay. In the interior and along the edge, but
according to I'll refer back to my research. According to Sports Illustrated, the Cardinals' biggest needs are edge, inside linebacker, guard, and then wide receiver. They also only have 6 picks.
The guard is off the board in Booker, unless they reach for Donovan Jackson. You said off-ball linebacker. Jahad Campbell then could be in play. And you said edge, and there's Mike Green. I think that's a better fit than Shamar Stewart. No corner. They didn't say a corner.
They did not say a corner.
I still think a corner. Jahdae Barron could be in play here, and that's who James has in his mock. And if it's Jahdae Barron, I'm going to be furious. Pick his end, by the way. That's going to be our calling card tonight. Just pick his end, by the way. Feels like we're moving.
We are on pick 16.
Yeah, I've been on this live stream. Granted, we started late, but like for 4 hours. And tonight it feels like we're moving.
I don't know.
We're an hour, 17 minutes in. Before we wrap up, I do want to touch up on, you mentioned it earlier, I do want to touch up on your lacrosse coaching. You can plug that in.
Oh, yes. I will gladly, after we get this pick in.
Yeah, I'm going to grab a beer real quick.
All right. I'm going to wait till after the pick is in, and then I got a muffin calling my name.
Walter Nolan. Okay,
Dang, you
I
got
can see
that
that.
fast.
Makes a lot of sense. All right, Walter Nolan. Really good interior defensive lineman. Kind of an untapped potential as a pass rusher. Really good run defender. That's one of their weaknesses defensively. They did a good job in the offseason, signing Dalvin Tomlinson, signing Josh Sweat from your Eagles to kind of beef up their D-line. And they put themselves in a position where they didn't have to take a defensive lineman with this pick and be a little versatile with how they operate in this draft. But the board fell their way here, and they added to their defensive front. Never a bad thing. And now that interior defensive front looks really good. Dalvin Tomlinson. Who's the dude they drafted last year from Missouri? I forget his name. Darius Robinson, and now Walter Nolan. And with West Virginia's own Darius Stills in the mix as well. That's a pretty solid rotation forming there.
I agree. As definitely a defense that Jonathan Gannon is definitely building, and that he's probably going to be pretty proud of.
By the way, with the NFL draft in Green Bay, I wanted to get a Miller Lite.
Miller Lite is still the go-to.
It's never been one of my favorites. My brother loves it, and I don't hate it, but I despise Anheuser-Busch with a passion ever since the St. Louis Blues knocked off my Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup in 2019. So ever since then, I have sworn off Anheuser-Busch products. So it's been a lot of Coors, IPAs, and now I guess Miller Lite.
I mean, as long as you're not drinking Natty Light still, you're okay.
No. That was never really my drink. I get why people liked it because it was cheap.
Very cheap. Very cheap.
All right, Cincinnati on the clock now. I would be really surprised if this isn't an edge rusher. It could be corner. It could be one of the safeties. I don't think it'll be O-line with the way the board has gone. But with the news about Trey Hendrickson, they really need to add to that position. Trey Hendrickson, who requested a trade this offseason, and they squashed the rumors because I just don't think anyone was going to trade for him because he wanted a new contract, and he's an older player. Not that he's old, but this would be a third contract for him, I'm pretty sure, and that's a little rich for someone who's probably not a Hall of Famer. But if you lose him next year, Miles Murphy hasn't been that productive since you drafted him. Joseph Osai is a free agent next year. All of a sudden, that position becomes a glaring need for the Bengals if that happens next year. So I would be surprised if this isn't an edge rusher. I'd look at Mike Green and Shamar Stewart. Donovan Ezeraku is a possibility too.
According to my research, I will just call it my research going forward. I already gave them credit once, but according to my research, Cincinnati's biggest needs are corner, safety, interior linemen, and they only have 6 picks in this draft.
Yeah, I think this has to be an edge. There are a lot of good edge rushers in this draft, but
I think Mike Green would be definitely good.
Mike Green's good. Just pure pass rush. The Bengals strike me as a team going by the last couple of years who value traits, and if that's the case, I think it would be Shamar Stewart. Depends on how you view him. I'm really hoping Shamar Stewart makes it to 23. Not looking like it right now, though.
Oh, the pick is in. Dang. I want to go. You know what? I'm going to go take a quick break. It's going to sound selfish. My wife made some muffins, and she told me I got to try them, so I got to try them.
Go for it, man.
All right.
Happy wife, happy life.
I agree. So I will be back. I'll take a brief pause.
No worries.
Oh.
Uh-oh, you stopped recording. Does that affect our live stream? No? Well, hang on. We're still going right now.
All I did was take out my headphones. I don't know. Did I do anything?
I don't think so. But, we're still going. It still says we're live. I think we're okay. But if it does shut off, just go to that link again. You should be able to enter again. You know what I mean?
All right. Because all I know is that on my end, it says changes. It says I have a little window. It says leave site. Changes you may not be saved. And then on my end, it says your recording has stopped.
Yeah, I saw that. It's still showing up on YouTube.
All right, I'm gonna hit cancel because they won't even let me refresh. Hold
You're
on.
still in here. It says live at the up at the top. I think we're in good shape. Just well, now he's gone. So, all right, just me. Unfortunately, Armand will be back soon. There he is.
Okay,
Okay, he's back.
we're back. Okay, now I will be right back.
Yeah, just hang out. We'll look at a blank screen. Like, just leave. Yeah, just do that or whatever. On a new track. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I didn't think about this. Jahad Campbell could be in play here. Pick is in. Gosh, we are moving. So sounds like Shamar Stewart come off the board. Shit. I wanted Shamar Stewart. This is why you don't develop draft crushes for those listening. And I didn't really have one this year. It's not like last year where I really wanted Cooper DeJean. But this is why you just go into the draft blind. But sounds like this is going to be Shamar Stewart. Yep, Shamar Stewart. Full of traits. Tested very well at the combine. I didn't quite think he'd make it to 23. But it was a hope of mine that would happen. Like I said, tested very well, freak athlete, tons of physical traits, not super productive in college, but just has the traits that usually translate well to the NFL. I'm not surprised that this is where he went. Going by the last few years, the Bengals seem to be a team that drafts for traits. Gosh, I'm so mad about that because Shamar Stewart was definitely a Green Bay type of player. All right, Seattle coming up at 19 or at 18. I think this is where you start talking about Gray Zabel, but I think a corner is in play here, given the way the board is falling. Don't be surprised if it's a receiver. I think if Tet McMillan here, Seattle would really consider it. But hang on, I'm getting all kind of notifications. I don't think they would take Matthew Golden. Emeka Ibuka, maybe. For receiver. O-line, unless it's Donovan Jackson or Gray Zabel, I think this is where you start that conversation. It could be an edge. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Mike Green or Donovan Ezeraku here. I don't think that there's an interior offensive lineman or a defensive lineman to take here other than Derek Harmon, but they took Byron Murphy last year. Is it Byron Murphy I was thinking about? I think that's his name. Yeah, I think corner, maybe an interior offensive lineman here for Seattle. It could be an edge rusher. I'm going to say those three. Top two corners are still on the board. I'm pretty surprised at that. Could be Jahdae Barron, could be Will Johnson, could be Mike Green, could be Donovan Ezeraku, could be Gray Zabel. I think Donovan Jackson's in play here. But Seattle has, I think, 4 picks over the next 2 rounds on day 2. They have 2 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks, and then I think they have 2 fourth-round picks and maybe 3 fifth-round picks. Like, they have 9 picks across rounds 2 through 5. And that's like where you really find interior offensive linemen in the league these days, plug-and-play guys. And so I think they hold off on interior O-line. My guess is this is an edge rusher, receiver, or corner. But don't be surprised if it's an interior offensive lineman. Let's see what kind of tweets we got. I'm still mad at Shamar Stewart, you bastards. I'm going to send this link to James real quick. I know he's busy with kickball, but send invite. What is James's email? We text too much. Let me look at his email. There it is. Copy. Send invite. All right. So now James can join if he wants, but I'm not expecting him to. To tonight's live show. Feel free to hop on if you want later. Hop on later if you want. All right, pick is in for Seattle. I've already gone through all the options. I'll be pretty surprised. There he is. All right, thank God you're back. Did you hear me? No, your microphone. He's all right. He'll figure it out. Armand's a smart guy. Something.
We're
else.
back.
There we go. Thank God you're back. So you missed the Bengals break my heart, kind of, not really, but Shamar Stewart off the board. Guy I wanted at 23. He was a very Packers type of player, tested very well, just a freak athlete. Their type of guy in terms of they have very specific size thresholds, and he would hit them off the board. So I don't know what we're going to do now. But Seattle on the clock. I've gone through it already. I've said interior O-line, but they have, I just went through it, but you're back. 2 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks, I think 2 fourth-round picks, and like 3 fifth-round picks. So, if they wanted to hammer the interior offensive line, they can do that these next 2 days. Yeah.
Seattle goes.
Wow,
Gary
Gray Zabel.
Gray Zabel. Whoop.
Hey, we're all dyslexic. Okay, not surprising. This is someone Schrager had going to them and to Seattle. Great fit. I heard that multiple times. Great fit for Seattle. I looked at their picks and I was like, if they wanted to beef up the interior, they can do that later. But they do it now, and now they give themselves flexibility going forward. I like Zabel. I think he's got the body of a tackle. He's 6'6", 305, I think, but probably going to kick inside the guard because of his arm length.
Yeah, well, I'm checking out some highlights right now of him playing, and yeah, dude can hold his own. And it's great. Honestly, I would say it's really great to see, products of outside Power 5 conferences really getting their opportunity. Because I feel
North Dakota State might as well be a D1 pro, like a FBS program.
Where would you, if you had to play? All right, ready? You get to be the president of the NCAA.
Okay.
And they want to move to the FCS. Where are you putting them?
Going up to the FBS.
Oh, sorry. Yes, leaving FCS, going up to FBS.
All right. I've always thought this. I think MAC is a good start for them.
Okay.
I don't know where else you would put them. Maybe Mountain West or the new Pac-12, but
I would argue
I think MAC is a good spot for them.
I would argue Mountain West just because I feel like there's not as crazy of travel, and honestly, like considering that we're talking about, college level athletes going to the professional level athletes, I think it's very hard for even like some of these college kids, right? Like think about us being in college. Would you be able to, if let's just say that we were in Oregon, would you be able to fly over all the way to Pennsylvania to Happy Valley and go play a game in Happy Valley? And then go get ready to go take a class the next.
Yeah, but let's be honest, all classes are online for these players today.
That's true.
That's not a big deal, in my opinion. I not that the travel is not a big deal. I'm sure it is. But when this whole conference thing started and you had like the Olympic sports complaining, like you're not playing every single game in New Jersey if you're playing for Oregon. And that's what they wanted to make you believe, was that you were hopping on a plane in New Jersey every time you traveled. And you're not. You're going to have home games. It's not going to be that bad. Everything's going to be okay. Your classes are online. Like, sorry, I'm not going to feel sorry for you. Football, this is a hard truth. Football runs everything.
Biggest moneymaker.
Well, I got into it with my mom. I visited for our spring break. I work in higher education and we get a spring break. Unnecessary, but I like it. And while I was there,
You deserve it.
A report surfaced that the revenue generating sports for college athletics, like, are trying, I think, it sounded like to push that they keep their own money instead of it going to lesser programs at universities. And I was like, honestly, I don't have a problem with that. It's their money. They're the ones making the money. They should get it. I get, and there was a quote from like a tennis coach at Georgia or something saying, how are we supposed to compete when we're not getting any money? And I quoted a line from one of the great shows, Succession, saying, build your own fucking pile.
I mean, you're not,
by the way.
Oh, I mean, look, you're not wrong. I will
It's a hard
refer back.
truth.
No, I mean, hey, you're right. I can tell you right now, like that's literally what I am currently doing with my lacrosse team.
Yeah, so
not
talk
that.
about that.
So this, so at the high school that I work at, we have been a combined lacrosse team with another crosstown school. We have 3 high schools in the town that I work in, and this is the first year since before COVID. So before 2019 was the last season, they were their own standalone team. Um, we finally got our own team back this year. And I would say that in the area in which I work in, like in that central area, lacrosse is not, it's big. It's not as big as it is in like North Jersey or South Jersey. Um, you know, so it's building. So basically I have 21 boys on my lacrosse team, and 15 of those boys never have played lacrosse before. We just actually got our first win today.
Awesome. How many games
Yes.
have you played?
We have played 5.
All right. Well, you got off to a slow start. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
don't want to peak too early.
no, we have actually another game tomorrow. That's the thing about lacrosse, man. It's just like you have a game, then you got another game, and you got a day off. Oh, and then you got another game. It's just like it's crazy. Right now until our season ends, which our season goes until May 19th. Um, you know, we have like 2 to 3 games a week, and it's crazy.
Is that too much for lacrosse? I've never played it.
No, honestly, it's just like, did you ever play soccer? Oh, no, I know you
No.
played football in high
When I
school,
was
but
very, very little, but
yeah, though, like, imagine like honestly the closest thing I can get to it is soccer, because like they
Emeka
had
Ibuka
games.
off the board going to Tampa. I thought he would go top 20. I didn't know where, but I thought he would go top 20.
Look, I am trying.
Go ahead with what you were saying.
No, it's okay. I was trying to find him on my list here.
So I got Atlanta wrong, Arizona, Cincinnati. All these are wrong. This is how the draft goes. You're only going to get about 6 right on a good year.
You know what? Not relevant to what we're talking about at all. Emeka Ibuka is somebody I had gotten for my dynasty fantasy football team that I took last year. Took him in my college draft.
I haven't played fantasy football in a while. I don't know. Just didn't want to do it anymore. And I was the commissioner of our league, and it had been around. We have done it for 10 years, and I just said, I think I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So I let the league fold like the Pac-12. And it's not going. Like they had to go elsewhere. It's not going, and it's not like it's going, and I'm just not there anymore. I ended it. We're not doing it. I was
So,
like, this dies with me.
so would you do it again if you weren't the commissioner?
Honestly, I kind of enjoy not being part of fantasy football. I think fantasy football has rotted so many people's brains.
See, I think on the contrary. I think
Okay,
that
go
it
for it.
I think that it's actually made the game more enlightening because you have people that have favorite teams, but then you also have people that now know about a bunch of other players from other teams besides just about their own team. So I think you're expanding the game.
I don't disagree with that. I agree with that. I just mean, and I knew I would go on this rant tonight at some point. I think I don't understand the overvaluation of the wide receiver position, and I blame fantasy football for it.
You know, I okay. Tell me why, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Well, the the track record is about the same both ways in terms of drafting a receiver in the first round compared to the second round. The track record's almost the same. It's not like quarterback where if you're going to have a really good one, they kind of have to come in the first round. Or offensive tackle or edge rusher or interior defensive lineman, corner, like the premium positions. Receiver's not one of those positions. You can find one in this. I'd actually argue you get more bang for your buck in the second round. But I think because of fantasy football and how that is like PPR and how you got to draft receivers, all these skill position players. And I think that has rotted people's brains and also with the league becoming more offensive. I think it's a combination of all of it. And I'm just not of that opinion. I think receiver, it's not that I don't think receiver is a premium position because it is, but it is not on the same level as quarterback, offensive tackle, edge rusher, corner, interior D-line. You can find guys on day 2. Green Bay has done it time and time again.
Okay. I see where you're coming from. I think that yes, I think that wide receiver is definitely a very overvalued.
I think it's overvalued.
I think it's overvalued simply because there are. I mean, if you really think about it, right? Look, the NFL has turned into a passing league. It
is.
And
that's all part of it. Like I get that. But you know what doesn't go out of style? We just saw Philadelphia do this. Granted, they have 2 really good receivers, but you know what doesn't go out of style? Running the ball.
I agree. Running the
Keeping
ball.
possession, being efficient. Why would you risk it? The quote that I saw on, I don't watch the show, but American Dad, why do you want to risk it with the forward pass? Just run. What happened to running the ball?
I mean, when you have Saquon Barkley
Exactly.
breaking records for you, I don't blame you. I'm 100% for it. But also at the same time, when you have, Devontae Smith, who is a well decorated wide receiver, and you have AJ Brown.
Where was AJ Brown drafted?
Where was he drafted? The Titans.
When was he drafted?
He was drafted.
I know the answer to this.
He was drafted. Hold on. I want to say he was drafted in. He was drafted in 2018.
2019, I believe.
Close. Oh, pick is in for the Broncos.
I meant what round he was in.
Oh, he was a first round pick.
He was a second round pick.
Oh, was he? Oh,
him and DK Metcalf were both second round picks in 2019. Late second round picks too. Like I look, AJ Brown was 51, and I think DK Metcalf was like 64. So he was like the last pick of the second round.
By the way, who do you want to see here go to the Broncos?
I think with a Buka off the board, it's probably going to be Amari and Hampton.
I think it's going to be Marion Hampton,
Yeah,
Hampton as well.
I think that Sean Payton, almost said Sean McVay. Sean Payton really wants to beef up that running back position, and I think Hampton and Audric Estime will pair really well together. And unfortunately, that's who James has in his mock draft. And if he gets this right, I'm going to be furious.
Let's see.
Let's see what
Broncos.
this pick is.
Broncos have biggest needs: running back, wide receiver,
Yeah.
tight end, and have 7
It
picks.
could be Matthew Golden, but I'm going to go with Amari and Hampton.
See, I would also argue Golden just because Sean Payton does love running backs by committee.
He does. And it's to the point, like everyone says this is going to be a running back, to the point where I'm like, I'm not sure this is going to be a running back. Like, I don't know. It's not like quarterback where everyone knows who's going to be like this team's drafting a quarterback and you know who it's going to be. The draft just doesn't work that way. This could be running back though. I don't know.
Who do you have on your mock draft for here?
I had Ibuka.
Well, good thing you didn't go based off of the one that I referenced for a lot of my stuff.
I had Amari and Hampton penciled in there all pretty much, not all off season, but throughout this process, like the last week. And then the day before, I was like, I'm changing this to Ibuka.
You also had Colston Loveland listed there at 20.
I did at one point. Oh, you mean from March? Yeah.
Yeah, from
Johnny
March.
Barron off the board. Very interesting. Okay.
Wow.
I can kind of see this. They don't really have a corner opposite of Patrick Surtain. I get this. 2 of the best corners have fallen to this part. I get this. And this is a really good running back draft. You really didn't need Amari and Hampton at 20. Although I think Amari and Hampton's going to be a really good player in the NFL. I'm going to get another beer.
All right. Steelers on the clock next.
All righty. All right. Big pick coming up here.
Yes.
On my mock draft, I had Shedeur Sanders. We'll see what happens. Pittsburgh is in a weird situation because they put all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket, and this has gone on long enough. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the guarantee that he was a month ago.
No.
And after his recent antics where he's kind of like, oh, I don't know. I didn't watch the Pat McAfee interview he did a couple like last week or something like that. But it sounded very, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, the attitude that Green Bay got tired of after a while. And if you're Pittsburgh, I just don't think you can wait on him anymore. Even if he does sign with you, you still need a quarterback. He's not a long-term solution. Mason Rudolph, isn't a long-term solution. Like, I really think you need to seriously consider Shedeur here. Amari and Hampton, I think, is also in play.
Yeah, no, I would agree. They lost Najee Harris during the offseason. You lost both of your quarterbacks.
And defensive linemen like Derek Harmon, because Grant's off the board. Like a Derek Harmon, maybe another edge rusher. I think is also in play. Oh, and Will Johnson.
Yes, still available.
But I think you got to go quarterback here. If it's not, man, I don't know what your plan is.
Oh, the pick is in. The pick is in. All right, so what's your final thoughts?
I'm gonna still say Shedeur. They have no option. They don't have a second round pick. If you're not going to draft a quarterback now, you're going to wait till round 3 and you're going to wait on Aaron Rodgers. That's a bad combination in my opinion. Who are you going to get in round 3? Will Howard. And I like Will Howard, but Kyle McCord, like this dude, I don't think these dudes are going to start. You're going to rely on Mason Rudolph. You're going to take Aaron Rodgers' word for it and think he's going to revert back to 2021 Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay when he won MVP. I don't see it.
Nope. Don't see it.
I think, as I said Sunday, I don't mean to interrupt you. As I said Sunday, Shedeur is a mystery box. Like he's a flawed prospect, but he might be good. And if he's good, guess what? Like you're in great shape. Drafting him puts you in a better position than what you are in literally right now if you're Pittsburgh.
Well, let me ask you this real quick before that we actually get the actual pick. Who do you think is a better prospect, Shedeur or Dart?
I kind of like Dart, but I'll say Shedeur.
I kind of like Dart too.
Derek Harmon off the board, not Shedeur. Wow. That's not shocking. Derek Harmon felt like their kind of player. What are you going to do at quarterback?
They're cooked.
I don't know. Derek Harmon, I think, is a really good player. I had him going 32nd to your Eagles, and so did James. I didn't know where he would fall, but I thought he would sneak into the back half of round 1. I think he's a good player, but Pittsburgh, I don't know what you're doing at the quarterback position.
No. I would have to agree. You have no quarterback right now. You have no quarterback, and you have 2 Lamborghinis sitting on the outsides.
I don't know about Lamborghini, but I see the point.
It's like that meme that you see the Bugatti sitting outside the house of the trailer park.
Yeah, definitely. Gosh, I don't know. I'm not surprised. It felt like
I'm surprised.
It felt like they weren't sold on Shedeur, but like I said, I don't know what else you do, man.
But like
Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed with you. I don't think he wants to go there.
I don't think so either. But like here's also my argument. If you lost your starting running back who had sure, the year before it was a mess, but this year it was better. But you lost your starting running back. You lost 2 of your starting quarterbacks, and you brought it and you traded for DK Metcalf. I don't care who is behind center. If your quarterback is terrible, those wide receivers are not getting that ball.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple.
I don't understand trading for DK Metcalf and not following up, like just sitting, waiting on Aaron Rodgers. I don't understand it. I don't get why more teams don't, and I know why. It's because owners are impatient. I just don't understand why teams don't take the Green Bay approach. Why don't more of them do it? I'm not saying it's flawless, and it's not just Green Bay.
No.
Kansas City did it too. With
Yeah,
Mahomes.
100%. No, I don't think that it is. I don't think that people are scared. I think that they are more of just like they want something now. They don't want
That's
it
what I'm saying.
later.
They're impatient. They want a
Like-
quarterback now,
Like for example, like if
or they want a good player now.
Abdul Carter gets taken second before the Giants take him, are you a fan base? Like, are you saying, hey, let's just hypothetically, let's just say that the Giants take Shedeur Sanders at 3, right? Are they going to be calling to start him over Russell Wilson and over Jameis Winston? Because that's what you would be getting. That's exactly what you would be getting. You'd be getting riots and people being disappointed in that fan base. Like, well, why am I drafting somebody at 3 if he's not going to play?
I don't have a problem with that, but I've dealt with Aaron Rodgers waiting 3 years. I've dealt with Jordan Love waiting 3 years. Not every team handles it right, but I don't know. I don't understand Pittsburgh. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm kind of dumbfounded. Like, keep waiting on Aaron Rodgers. If he wanted to go, he'd be there.
Yeah. I mean, he's not asking for much.
Nope. Actually, I think he is asking for too much.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Chargers coming up. I don't know who this is going to be. Kenneth Grant's off the board. That's who I had in my mock. James had Walter Nolan. He's off the board. It could be an edge rusher. It could be Donovan Ezeraku. I think Mike Green's still available. Mike Green, though, I think had some character issues. I wonder if that's why he's falling. I saw a lot of, I think, sexual assault allegations.
Yeah, I'm
but
out
like
on
that.
that.
I think this has been known. I don't think this is like day of, like Laramie Tunsil in the photo of the bong or whatever, the mask.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, that was a weird draft. I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's been known, and maybe it could just be a situation where the league isn't as high on him as the expert or the analysts are. That happens all the time. But Chargers, this is a Jim Harbaugh coach team. I don't want to say this, but Matthew Golden's there. They could go Matthew Golden.
Honestly, I was about to say it.
Yeah, I don't see them taking a receiver, though. I think Donovan Ezeraku is probably the pick here. Jahad Campbell still available, maybe him. I think Will Johnson's in play here.
Well, I'll tell you this: the Chargers they have a lot of ammunition. They have 10 picks in this draft.
Yeah.
Right now their biggest needs are defensive tackle, wide receiver, tight end, running back, and edge.
Oh, Omari and Hampton, I think, could be in play here. Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball.
He does. He loves to run the ball. So, I would say my two picks right now would be Hampton or Golden. Those are my two picks.
I'll throw Ezeraku or Will Johnson. I think Hampton. I don't think Golden, but I'll say Golden, Hampton, Ezeraku, or Johnson. One of those four. I'm trying to think of others. It could be James Pierce Jr., edge from Tennessee. Could be Mike Green. I mean, it's Mike Green too. The board has fallen well, I think, so far. Hasn't fallen particularly well for Green Bay, but I don't know what the Chargers like. So that's why I say I think it fell well for them. Not for my Packers, who are up next. It depends on what happens with Will Johnson. I think Will Johnson is their type.
All right. So let's just pretend here that the Chargers are not picking, Packers are on the clock right now. Who would you love to see right here?
Will Johnson. That would who I would really want. I don't know if they like him enough. I'm not in the room. I think he's their type. He's long enough. Now, he didn't test, and Green Bay relies heavily on RAS, relative athletic score. They say they don't, but they kind of do. All their picks line up with that. And if you have an elite grade in RAS, it's an 8 or above. Every single draft pick that GM Brian Gutekunst has made since taking over in 2018 has had an elite grade. So he likes dudes with physical traits, and not just him. Green Bay has always been this way. They have their thresholds, they have their standards, and they're not going to budge on them. I don't think, even though they really need to beef up their pass rush, I don't think Ezeraku or Green are their type. They're too small.
That's fair.
Ezeraku is like 6'2", 250. Green 6'3", 250. That's a little small. Now, Green Bay relaxes these as the draft goes on. But round one, they're taking a premium position. So that's quarterback. It's not going to be a quarterback, but I'm just naming them. Quarterback, tackle, offensive tackle, edge rusher, D tackle, corner. Maybe a safety, but I don't think they're going to draft a safety this year. Packers on the clock, so pick is in for the Chargers.
Wow, the Chargers took that all the way down to 0.
Don't buy that. All this is done remotely, like on a computer, I would imagine. From what I've heard, like all the teams get on like this network and they just type it in and it's done. And it just takes time for it to get to Green Bay or wherever the draft is for them to there are people to write it on the card and get it to Goodell. That's how it works.
Actually, I saw a draft day special about about like the NFL teams like getting the jersey with the name on the back, stuff like that.
There's also that, yeah.
The whole process I think takes like about 6 minutes. So
This pick is in there, like done. This was done minutes ago. Like probably when the clock started, they were like, all right, who do we like? You. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go with this player. And then they type it in, it goes electronically somewhere. And then they're like, okay, we got to write it on the card. We got to, if they're there, we got to print it out, the jersey, whatever, got to get them the hat. So this pick is done a long time ago.
it's fair. It's fair.
I don't mean to make you sound stupid.
No, it is quite okay.
I don't think a lot of people realize that. I didn't realize it until like a year or two ago. I was like, oh, clicking down to 0. Are they going to forfeit this pick?
I mean, in reality, it's like
Which
the pick
has
goes
happened
in.
before. It has happened before.
Has it?
I think the Vikings did it one year. They didn't get it in time.
See, I think that'd be interesting. I would
love
like
to
to
see
see
that.
that. Yeah.
1 year. Chargers, though, I think defense. Defense or Hampton.
I think it's more going to be offense. I mean,
Could be
but also, my argument to well, actually, no, my disagreement with myself to agree with you would be because they cut Bosa.
Yeah. Joey Bosa's not there anymore. They still have Khalil Mack. I think they would really like an edge rusher. Who they like, I don't know. I'm not in the room. I don't know their tendencies.
Oh, Omarion Hampton.
We
to
said
the Charger.
Hampton. I'm not surprised. All right, my Packers are up. I want Will Johnson at this point. Things are getting weird with Jair Alexander. Unclear if he'll be back in Green Bay, and if he's not back, you really need a corner. Like if he comes back, I think your corner room's okay. Jair Alexander, Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, Nate Hobbs, who they just got in free agency. If that's your corner room, I think you're okay. But if you lose Jair, all of a sudden that corner room looks pretty bleak. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not in the room. I don't think they want Jair back. They probably just haven't found a trading partner yet. Things have gotten weird there, but that's why I say Will Johnson. But Will Johnson had medical red flags, I believe. So we'll see there. I don't think it's Ezra Raku. I don't think it's Mike Green, too small. Gosh. I don't think Nick Scorton. It could be James Pierce Jr. Oh, I know what. They haven't done this since 2002. But hang on. Did my audio go out? No.
Nope, I still got you.
Okay. I thought it went out for there for a second. They haven't done this since 2002, but this could be Matthew Golden. Not ruling it out. Not ruling it out.
Personally, and again, not the Green Bay fan here. Personally, I like the Packers receivers. I just don't care for Christian Watson. Because, I mean, it's a shame dude's got hurt, but he hasn't shown me anything. Last year he had a healthy year. Showed me nothing. The year before that, I will go back to my fantasy football. Drafted him early. Nothing. I was like, yeah, you're done.
The reason why I say receiver is because, and I don't think it's going to be Matthew Golden, by the way. I'm just saying don't rule it out. They met with him. That could be nothing. It could be something. He's smaller than what they like in receiver. He's like 5'11", 190. That's a little small, but he is a deep threat. And Christian Watson's hurt, probably going to miss a good portion of the year. If he's out, they don't have a deep threat. And we saw what this offense was against Philadelphia when Christian Watson was out. It was ugly. And I think he means that much to the offense because they don't have anyone else on the roster who's a deep threat. Romeo Dobbs has had concussion issues, and they're both free agents next year. Jaden Reed's a really good player, but he could be a free agent, in 2 years. Dontavian Wicks has made plays. He could be a free agent in 2 years. This is a position that, like, if looking at health and just contracts, like, could get bleak really quick. So that's why I say don't rule out Golden here with the way the board has fallen. But my guess is it's going to be probably Will Johnson, James Pierce Jr. That's a typical Packers kind of pick. I don't think it would be an interior defensive lineman. They're kind of all off the board at this point. Grant's off the board. Nolan's off the board. I think they're all off the board. Harmon's off the board. I doubt it's a running back. I don't think it's a tight end. I don't think O-line. They drafted Jordan Morgan last year, and he got hurt. But
I think best available here would be Will Johnson.
I think it's going to be Will Johnson or another corner. If it's not Will Johnson, it's Maxwell Hairston, although he might be too small for them. Trey Amos, I think, is in play here if we're looking at corner. I don't think safety because you got McKinney, and that safety room really flourished last year.
Yes,
Evan Williams played well. Javon Bullard, I think, is a good nickel. I think they're good there. It could be Jahad Campbell. Off-ball linebacker, another best player available kind of guy. Kind of a need, even though, Quay Walker's approaching the end of his rookie contract. And what's his name did flourish last year. I can see his face. The linebacker from A&M. Why am I blanking on his name, Armand?
Let's see. To be fair.
Why am I blanking on his name? Edrin Cooper.
Edrin Cooper.
I got to pee real quick.
Yep. Let's see. I wonder how many people are actually watching this live. Let's check it out. Oh, that's me. I see myself live right now on YouTube. That's pretty cool. And it looks like nobody is watching. I heard myself listening to myself. That was weird.
All right, pick is in. Uh-oh. I think I just saw Matthew Golden.
Did you?
Wow, it is Matthew Golden. Holy shit, the streak is broken. Finally, people will shut the fuck up about how they don't take a receiver in the first round. I am so sick of that shit, man. Oh my gosh.
Aaron Rodgers would be very happy about that.
I'm sure he's pissed about it.
Hey, there you go. Love it. Honestly, I think I it's a good football name. Last name Golden.
He does have a great name, but this doesn't. Emeka Egbuka would have excited me. I don't know. I think Golden. I worry about these guys like Golden. undersized, kind of a one-trick pony. You know, he can run a go route. He ran a 4.29 at the combine. Awesome. But he is a deep threat. Can he do something else? That's my concern. These guys who have speed and aren't that big typically don't have great careers. And like, I'm talking like definitive success, like in the NFL, like borderline Hall of Famer. Like Jalen Waddle had a ton of speed. I mean, he's a good player, but not an all pro. I don't think he is anyway. So
I would
I don't
say,
know.
I would say in reality, like the only person that really does come to mind to me is got to be Deshaun Jackson.
I was going to say Tariq Hill, but he wasn't drafted in the first round.
Yeah,
And neither was Deshaun Jackson.
second round pick.
I think he was. I think he was early second round. So I don't hate this pick. I think this is a good pick. I thought Golden would go somewhere in the first round, just didn't know where. Speed kills in the NFL, and as I've said before, I didn't think Green Bay would take him because of size, and because of their history at the wide receiver position. They haven't drafted one in the first round since 2002. But I said going into the draft, depending on the way the board falls, I think a receiver is in play. And it didn't fall particularly well for them. I think they wanted to bolster their pass rush, and their guys are all off the board. I think they really like Mikael Williams and Shamar Stewart off the board. All the interior defensive linemen are off the board. Will Johnson's on the board at corner, but as I said, he had medical concerns, and I think he was their type, but like, did he pass their medicals? Probably not, I would imagine.
That's probably fair
So
because
I'm sure they wanted to trade back, but again, it takes two to tango. Who wants to move up at this point?
yeah. No, I mean I agree because at this point
I'm
now,
honestly pretty surprised with this. I'm not happy. I shouldn't say I'm not happy. I'm not upset with it. I'm not over the moon with it. I'm pleased though. I think Matthew Golden is a good pick and what they needed. They needed a deep threat, not named. They needed a home run hitter, not named Christian Watson.
yes, I would agree. I definitely wholeheartedly I agree with that.
I'm still pretty surprised.
So, what is your number up to now that we just concluded pick 23? How many
I'm still
have you
4.
got?
I'm still 4.
Is James
4 for
James still at
23.
4?
I think so, because he had Hampton to Denver wrong, Shadur to Pittsburgh wrong, Nolan to the Chargers wrong, Ezeraku to the Packers wrong. So I think we're still at 4. Let me double check though. Travis Hunter to the Browns wrong, Genty to the Jags wrong, Graham to the Raiders wrong, Walker to the Panthers no, Mikael Williams no, Tyler Warren no. Mike Green, no. Jahdae Barron, no. I think it's still 4. Yeah, it's still 4. So, yeah, we got Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Campbell. He got Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Campbell, Membu. And I have Ward, Carter, Campbell, Banks. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. All right. And Sanders was wrong. But I'm pretty pleased. I got Stewart wrong. All right. I think we're caught up.
No.
Golden.
The
I
real
got Golden wrong.
the real question is, Vikings pick is in.
Zabel. I'm honestly pretty surprised at that. That must tell you that no one's trading up. By the way, we still only have one trade, and I said that there wouldn't be very many trades.
Yeah, not many trades, but are you there? I have lost audio. Nope, I don't hear you.
How about now? There we go.
Now, yep, there we go.
I accidentally muted it. Hopefully that wasn't muted for too long.
No, it was only like 20 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know. I must have done something. But what were we talking about? Oh, the Vikings. So the Vikings only have 4 picks in this draft, I'm pretty sure. And they pick this one in the 3rd round and the 5th, and some other day 3 pick. I'm pretty shocked that they haven't traded this pick to get more picks and try to round out the roster a little bit. It just goes to show that no one's really looking to move up right now, or these teams at 23 and 24 are asking for too much.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably it. That's probably what they are. Because if I'm the Vikings right now and I would move back with 4 picks in this draft, I'm probably asking for at least 2 in return.
Well, once we're to this point, as I said, there's not a huge difference between the 11th player in this draft and the 32nd. The only one teams I thought would trade up are the ones looking for a quarterback, like the Giants, and that's still in play. Moving up for Shedeur.
I think if the Giants do, the Giants are going to have to. But here's the thing: like the Giants are going to have to trade with, the Texans, the Rams, the Ravens, the Lions, the Commanders, the Bills, or the Chiefs. Because I can tell you right now, they do not want to do business with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think that's a little overblown, but it's a fair point. I don't think that's as big of a deal as it was 10 years ago.
Yes, but at the same time, you know why there's also probably not many other moves going on? Because Howie is been the GM to run the NFL draft the past couple years.
Yes.
So, I mean, and there have been some great moves he's done in more recent years in the draft. Have all of his picks hit? Sometimes no. Sometimes no. But
well, he has been, I don't want to say luck has a negative connotation, but the Eagles have been very lucky. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, they have been in a situation where, I mean, there was like, what, a 3-year stretch where they had 2 first-round picks from trades?
Yep.
Maybe a 2-year stretch. And like Jalen Carter fell in their lap. Nolan Smith fell in their lap. I think that was in the same year.
That was.
Yeah. So, the Giants have traded up to 25, by the way. Here comes, I think, Shedeur or Jackson Dart.
I agree.
Anyway, so I say lucky. I don't mean that as a negative connotation. Anytime you say lucky, people just say you're being disrespectful, and that's not true. You need luck to win championships and to be successful.
I mean, even look at last year. Look at them taking Cooper DeJean.
Yes.
And
but you're still
Mitchell.
100% right. Howie Roseman has dominated the draft the last 2 years. And that's why they had the year that they had. And they also got lucky that Saquon Barkley hit the open market.
Oh.
Donovan Jackson. Wow.
Donovan Jackson.
James had Donovan Jackson going in the first round. I did not.
So does that count for a win for him?
No. Well, yeah, because we do not just correct picks. We do, did you get the position right? Did you get the correct number of players in the first round? That's something I usually dominate, but this might have put James over the top, honestly. In terms of the correct number of players in the first round that go in the first round. If that makes sense. Am I making sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like, did this player go in the first round? Yes or no? And if they did, like last year was my personal best. Last year I got 8 correct picks, which is pretty good. That's actually solid if you can do that. James got 10, and that's exceptional if you can get 10. And then I got 17 of the position right. So I got the position right, didn't get the player.
Mm.
And then I got 28 of the 32 guys in the first round.
How long does it
take
take you?
That tied my personal best.
How long does it take you to put all this together?
To just put a mock draft together or to type it out?
No. To like put all of those different components together for yourself and for James? Like, how long does it like actually take you to sit down and say, this is the position that I think they're taking, or even the player? Your entire mock. How long does that take?
Well, I operate recently a little differently. Like the top 10, I usually rely on Vegas. And then 11 through 20 is usually a combination of Vegas, need, what are the experts saying? And then in the 20s, it's more I work backwards. Instead of what does the team need, I look at I think this player is going round one. Where's a good fit for him? Because you're likely not going to get it right anyway in the 20s. Because with the way the board falls in trades, it's just highly unlikely you're going to get very many picks right after the top 10. So I work backwards. I go, I think this guy's going first round. Where's a good spot for him? Where's a good landing spot for him in the 20s?
Okay.
And last year I did pretty well with that. Like I didn't know where Xavier Worthy would go in the first round, but I thought he would go in the first round. And he ended up going to the Chiefs. I had him going to the Niners. I was like, I think the Niners could actually use a receiver, and they ended up actually going receiver with Ricky Pearsall. And I was like, man, on the money there. Like, just got the player wrong, but I got the position right.
Which, I mean, also we could have brought up Xavier Worthy as being a slim, a tiny, fast wide receiver.
But Golden has more girth to him than Worthy does. Worthy's season went about the way I thought it would. I was like, this dude's gonna light it up in September and October. But when it gets cold, especially in a place like Kansas City, I don't know how much of a factor he's going to be. And he kind of faded as the year went on, if you remember. Now, I think he had some good playoff games in the playoffs, and I think he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but that game was over at halftime, let's be honest. So
the true score was
I'm a little concerned with these small guys with speed. They typically are one-trick ponies. And you need to do more than that in the NFL. The best guy who's small and fast has been Tyreek Hill. And there's not very many more. Like a couple of these guys have gone first round, like Jalen Waddle, good player, not a Hall of Famer. Who was the dude from Oklahoma? Hollywood Brown was another one. Slim, small,
man. He was
fast.
such a letdown.
Yeah.
I mean he was hurt. He was hurt. So he couldn't do anything this year.
The thing with Golden is at least he has some girth for his size. Like 5'10", 190 is not terrible.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. If it was 5'10", 180, I'd have more concerns, especially in a place like Green Bay where it's cold. But
the Giants pick is in.
I think it's Jackson Dart. I think they like Jackson Dart more than Shedeur.
I think they like Jackson Dart as well. You know why?
Why is that?
Because he's Eli Manning prodigy, Ole Miss product. Because they are going to do everything that they can to bring back some sort of legacy of their greatest quarterback in their modern era.
What I would really love to see is Arch Manning declare for the draft next year, and the Saints are the number 1 overall pick. I would actually love to see that.
That would be awesome.
Like I don't give a shit. Like that would talk about prophecy being fulfilled.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. But I'm not 100% convinced he'll declare for the draft next year.
You know, I don't know. I really think it depends. I think that it was great that he actually was able to see the field, especially with Quinn Ewers. First off, also let's talk about Slide. Talk about a dude whose draft stock went.
Ewers, he's slim. He throws a pretty good ball, but I worry about his frame. He's not very big. You know, I think it says he's 200 pounds. He doesn't. Similar to JJ McCarthy. I don't think JJ McCarthy's 210 or whatever Michigan said he was. He looked a lot slimmer than that. And that's what concerns me. And I like JJ McCarthy as a prospect. I thought he had a good arm. But frame concerned me. And Ewers doesn't have the best arm, although he has a good touch on the ball, but he's slim, and you got to be somewhat big, man. If you're slim, you got to be an athlete, and I don't know if Ewers is an athlete. Like Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's slim, but he's so athletic. You're not catching him in the open field. Like he's not gonna he's not gonna like get crunched in the pocket. He's gonna escape pressure.
Wow. Jackson Dart.
I thought it would be Jackson Dart.
Crazy. And
I
the
had a
slide
feeling
continues.
it sure felt like that. The Giants like Dart more than Shadur. And I don't dislike Dart. I kind of like him.
He had a really good day when they did the combine. I watched his combine.
He reminds me a little bit of Bryce Petty. I don't know why. Bryce Petty like could throw a really good deep ball, and so can Jackson Dart. Not sure what kind of arm strength he has. Haven't done that much tape on him. Kind of reminds me of that guy. Like just a home run. I'm just gonna throw it down the field. Someone's open, but not like a gunslinger.
Another trade just happened.
Did I? Yeah, I thought I saw that. Falcons coming up.
Yep.
Okay, this isn't a quarterback. Probably Donovan Ezeraku, I would imagine, or Mike Green. This is surprising because they have a pick in the teens, like 15. So maybe, well, they move up a spot probably, but that would still be 14 probably at best because they don't have a pick in the top 10 of round 2.
Who, the Falcons?
Yeah.
You talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is a long way to go for the Rams to trade back, going from 26 to I think 46. This is 20 spots back. Granted, they might have some ammo now to go move up in round 2 if they want to, but this is a big move up. I wonder what the Falcons gave up.
That's what I'm looking at right now. All right, looks like the Falcons traded pick 46, 242, and a first round pick in 2026.
Yeah, I figured it would have to be a lot
for the 26th and the 101.
Yeah, because that's a huge jump or a huge slide, I guess you could say, from 26 to 46. Usually when you trade back at the end of round 1, you're getting an early pick in round 2, somewhere in the top 6 to 10, and Falcons don't have that. So I figured it had to have been a big haul.
By the way, I was going to make a comment about what you said about the Rams. They're used to picking in the second round anyway, so it's not new to them.
Well, and they don't have a ton of needs. They have a really good pass rush. O-line is probably their biggest weakness.
Could use
they
a corner.
might just they could use a corner, but Will Johnson keeps falling and there are some good corners on day 2. They might just like the way the board's falling and saying, hey, we can get someone at 46. Or, if things change tomorrow, we'll move up and get someone. Because I would imagine they have ammo now.
Yeah.
But this is surprising. I would imagine this is Mike Green or Donovan Ezeraku. And if it's Mike Green, James and I get a pick right. Because we had Mike Green going to the Falcons. I'm surprised. I thought the only trades back into the first round would be teams that need quarterbacks. I'm pretty surprised the Falcons are making this move.
How many
Who'd they
drafts?
take? Who'd they take at 15?
At 15, I'm not going to go back and look.
I don't even remember now.
They took Jalen Walker.
Yeah, okay. It could still be an edge rusher. Will Johnson. Could be Will Johnson.
Well, let's see. Let's check out their needs. So in reality, from my resources, I had defensive tackle and center were their biggest needs. Also, I just realized
it's not going to be a center. There's not one.
Yeah, no.
Edge rusher James Pierce Jr. Okay. I figured it would be a traditional edge rusher. That's one I got wrong. I didn't have him in the first round. James did. So he's probably – I think that he's going to best me at that this year.
Well, I'll tell you this, though. we were both on to something about talking about Falcons going defense in the first round, and now they did it twice.
Yep. I'm still surprised they moved up. That's a big jump. For a draft, it's not that good. I'm surprised you move up, especially 20 spots, and give up a first next year.
I mean, they saw something, and like you said at the start of this, there might not be stars, but they're starters.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see with James Pierce. I think he's a good fit for what Atlanta wants to do. He's a little lean. I remember his name kind of came up for Green Bay, and I said, I think he's too lean. They like guys who are typically 260, 270. Rashawn Gary was approaching 280 when they drafted him. And James Pierce Jr. is like 240. And that's more fits what Atlanta wants to do. Atlanta 3-4 defense, stand up outside linebacker. You can afford to be a little leaner at that spot. So this is a good spot for him. I just given up a lot to go get him for the Falcons. But I think he's a good player.
And Falcons only have 2 more picks, if my math is right. 2 more picks left in this draft, or 3? I think it's 3.
I don't know.
Because they had 5.
I didn't pay attention to that.
They had 5. They took one of those picks at 15. They just took another. Yeah, so they have 3. But oh no, they traded away 1, so they have 2. They have 2 picks left in this draft.
That's crazy.
Hey, you gotta make it worth it.
That's insane. So anyway, I wanted to bring this up. Every year I send a list of potential targets to my dad and brother that the Packers might get. And I was surprised I included Matthew Golden this year. I didn't think I did just because of his size, but I did. I send a list typically of 15 guys, and that sounds like a lot, but if you follow the draft like I do, like you're kind of preparing for all kind of situations. Does the board fall your way? Does the board not fall your way? So there's a wide variance of players. So you're like, well, you give them 15 players. That's half the first round. Yeah, but it's more just in preparation because you don't know where the board's going to fall. And anyway, so I did include Matthew Golden on my list. And I've gotten it right every year except 2022, I think. So 2023, I did have Lucas Van Ness on my list. 2024, I had Jordan Morgan on my list. And this year I had Matthew Golden. 2022, I did have Quay Walker, I think, on my list, but not Devontae Wyatt because I thought he was too old. Green Bay typically drafts guys under 22, and Devontae Wyatt was 24. Atypical. Weird. Anyway, that was kind of a surprise with the Rams trading back. So Ravens are up now.
Yeah, actually, we're at 27.
Yeah, we're getting near the end. I think this is defense. It's either Mike Green or Donovan Ezraku, in my opinion. Could be Will Johnson.
It's definitely going to be defense. Also, didn't realize this till just now. Ravens have 11 picks in this draft.
Yeah, they're usually a team that stocks up.
Yeah, a couple teams had actually two teams in this draft had 11, the 49ers and the Ravens. But yeah, no, I think defense is definitely going to happen here for Baltimore. I think, I personally think that
it could be O-line. It could be Josh Simmons
on offense.
Yeah, it could be Josh Simmons. It could be, there's another one, Josh Connerly Jr., true tackles. Ronnie Stanley kind of been hurt throughout his career. I know they brought him back, but they might plan ahead there. I don't think wide receiver now that Golden's off the board, unless it's Luther Burden, who could sneak into the first round. It has felt like he's the odd man out of the top 4 receivers in this draft, that he'd fall to the second. If it's offense, I think it's offensive line, but I expect this to be Will Johnson or Donovan Ezeraku or Mike Green. Maybe Nick Skirton from A&M. Skirton, Scourton, whatever his
Oh
name
yeah,
is.
he's still on the board.
He's another one like Burden. It seems like he's going to fall to day 2. But Green and Ezeraku would be great fits in Baltimore. Stand up, outside linebacker, don't have to be that big. In a 3-4 defense. I think it's one of those two. Who's your favorite pick so far? It's kind of been meh, in my opinion. There hasn't been a pick that that I don't think that I've been like, I love that pick.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say like
And there's not like a guy who fell and like, man, they really got to steal here. You know, like everyone's kind of gone where we thought they would.
Yeah, I mean, because even
except Will Johnson, I would say Will Johnson's the big surprise right now.
Yeah, he's had a major slide. I like even in a couple of the mocks that I have found, he's gone before pick 20.
Yeah. I had him going 18. I thought there was a chance he'd be there at 23 and he was. I'm surprised he's fallen. Well, not quite, because I think Peter Schrager had him fallen to 28. So, and Schrager's plugged in. Like, he knows these things.
So this is what I'll tell you. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I need Ezeraku here. I had Ezeraku in my mock draft. Come on, baby. Give it to me. Tell me it's Ezeraku. Shit. Malachi Starks. I'm not surprised here.
No.
I'm not surprised. I'd seen this in some mock drafts.
I was actually really hoping that he was going to fall to 32.
Yeah. But this is another one who's fallen, but I'm not surprised because safeties who don't test well, as I said earlier, typically fall. That's a position like you got to be athletic to be safety, and I think NFL teams don't value. NFL teams don't seem to be valuing that position much anymore, and you got to test well. Malachi Starks didn't do that, but his tape speaks for itself. Really good player. Baltimore could use some help defensively. I completely forgot about him, honestly, when I was naming players.
See, I mean, I think to a point, the testing, yes. But sometimes people just don't test well, and like ball is ball.
No! James had Starks.
Oh.
That bastard. He just took the lead.
Man, James, only if you were here from your kickball game.
He just texted me, so I don't know what he's doing. It's 5-4. All right, so James Pierce is off the board for him. Maxwell Hairston's on the board. Golden's off the board, and Harmon's off the board. So if he gets Hairston right, that's a commanding lead at this point. Pierce is off the board, and Harmon's off the board. And he got those other three wrong. So if he needs Hairston, I had Ezeraku, Hairston. Well, I'll keep that around because the Rams have ammo. I got Emanwari wrong. Hampton's off the board, Starks is off the board, and Harmon's off the board. All right, I'm not in much better shape. I need Josh Simmons to the Chiefs. That's we're basically playing for a tie here unless something shocking happens.
I mean, Josh Simmons to the Chiefs is probably the best bet because they need help on the offense.
Well, that's all I have left unless something crazy happens.
Well, Detroit's got their pick in. It's the fastest one that we've seen a couple picks.
What was the one I just said? Simmons. To the
Simmons.
Chiefs. All right. Well, that sucks. James has beat me every year but one.
When was the last one?
Last year,
No. When was the last one for you?
the only time I've won was 2023.
Hmm.
Not great.
Was it close?
Yeah, I think it was 7-6. Maybe 7-5. I'm not sure with James. I have my records. I don't have James's records. James can keep his own records. All right, Lions here. I would imagine this is an edge rusher. Ezra Rocco, Mike Green. They could use help opposite Aiden Hutchinson. It could be Will Johnson. I think it's defense. I had interior O-line in my draft, but Donovan Jackson and Tyler Booker are off the board. And Gray Zabel. I don't think they're going to go O-line at this point. I think it could be, it's an edge rusher, I think, or Will Johnson.
I think
Maybe Emin Wari, but I don't think so.
I also think it's going to be an edge rusher.
Yeah, I would be surprised if it's not an edge here. Maybe Jahad Campbell. Maybe.
Detroit's trying to stay even with Philadelphia.
Detroit, man, like I was happy that to have they have this moment, and now they've been kind of insufferable. I feel like. What do you think? Like I was kind of like, you know what, good for you guys. And then now I'm like, okay, you're starting to get annoying. You've been good for 5 minutes. You're getting annoying. 2, know your place.
See, I'm going to go from the unbiased fan. I think that it's great. I think it's great that they're actually winning games. Well, no. Here's where I'm going to get my points at. You've had so many bad seasons. Yeah. And literally a defeated season, 10 years ago, maybe 15 at this time. But like, where do you get the audacity to then just have the second high ticket prices in the playoffs?
Yeah.
After
I didn't know that.
Yeah, their playoff tickets were stupid expensive, like in the 600s.
Let's see what this pick is. Talik Williams. I did not think he would go round 1. Defensive tackle from Ohio State. Good player. I thought he'd be on Green Bay's board. I'm pretty surprised he went round 1 with those edge rushers still on the board, and Will Johnson and Jahad Campbell.
Sounds like these teams are seeing stuff that we have not been able to see.
Well, Ezeraku and Green are smaller guys. It depends on how you view. I don't know what your preference is.
Well, let me ask you this:
with a lot of things.
Are you more of an analytics-based person, or do you believe in seeing their ability to play?
I don't know, man. I'm a little bit of both.
I'd say I'm a little bit of both, but if you had to pick one, there's no middle. What one you take? What one you taking?
Analytical.
How come?
Well, what do you mean by analytical, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
So, like, statistics, like how they break down, like athletically, size-wise, all that stuff.
Definitely, I'm that, yeah. And I'm that way because if they test really well and they have the right size thresholds, you usually don't. Well, I mean, you can, but usually those guys, I think, have a better track record. They don't always hit, but when they hit big. But they can also whiff. I mean, that happens many times.
Yep.
But I think there's also more than likely a middle ground where they're like just okay. Like they're good, they're solid players. But when they hit big. These smaller guys like Ezraku and Green, when they hit, they typically don't hit big because they're physically limited. It's the same thing with quarterbacks. Like I don't like I don't like weak arm quarterbacks. I want my dude to have a Josh Allen arm. And same with Jordan Love. Like I want a dude with that kind of arm strength.
It's fair. It's fair.
And I want a big body. I don't want a small dude. Now, Kyler Murray is an exception. He's small, but he's got a big arm. He's an outlier. And he has girth. He's not a shrimp. I mean, he kind of is a shrimp, but he has girth to him, too.
I mean, it looks like a toddler running around the football field every single time.
But, like, I wouldn't have a problem drafting him. I think he has a big arm, and he's athletic, has girth. I wouldn't have had a problem drafting him if I was a GM.
See, I would say if I had to pick one, I would say I might rely more on the play just because there are a lot of guys that, that have not tested well and that have come
Definitely.
out and they have, and they've gone out there and, shocked the world to show them what they're made of. And the couple that I think up off the top of my head is, you look at future Hall of Famer, Jason Kelsey.
Mm-hmm. But he was also a 6th round pick, I'm pretty sure.
Sixth round pick. And, he ends up starting for the Philadelphia Eagles for over 200 consecutive games. Then let's go and look at that's where you lose your steam every time.
I'm going to go grab a beer while you're thinking.
Yep. I'll hold my thought. I have it.
All right.
Okay, I got it. And you go back and you look at even Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is undrafted rookie.
He was undrafted.
Playing at the University of Minnesota.
That's a little different because those guys were drafted so late. I don't care. I don't think many teams care once you get into that range. They don't care as much about they relax their requirements. Like Green Bay does that. Round 1 though, like they're gonna pick a premium position and they're gonna pick a dude with traits most of the time. And then round 2 they take more, and I'm sure a lot of teams do this, but round 2 they take more guys with production and experience who also obviously are high on their board. And then round 3 they really relax and just say this dude's a good football player. Let's take him. So
yeah, I would agree.
There are different strategies. I don't know if there's a right one. There are arguments for all of them. I would like my guys to have traits. Because when those guys hit, they hit big. That's all. Definitely those guys can be boom or bust. But when they hit big.
No, I agree. Obviously these guys are taken in the first round. They are just they're amazing. Oh.
Commanders. I'm going to keep saying it. One of these edge rushers. Mike Green, Donovan Ezraku. One of them. Might be too small for that defense, but it could be Will Johnson. Let's see here. Oh, Josh Connerly. Wow. Okay. Go O-line. I get that. Got to keep Jaden Daniels upright. They did that with Laramie Tunsil. And their starting right tackle, I forget his name. Coleman is his last name. They drafted him recently. I think he's more of a guard than a tackle. He's really big, like wide in terms of width, not height. And he just struck me as more of a guard. And now they find a true tackle, in my opinion, Josh Connerly, to put at right tackle, I would assume. I I like that pick. Makes sense. I'm a little surprised that these edge rushers are still here at 30. You look
Yeah.
like you look tired.
Oh yeah, dude. I've been.
I appreciate you staying here. You don't have to. I know that you're an hour ahead of me.
Yeah, it is 11:23. I'm usually in bed.
You don't have to stay on.
I mean, at this point, we have 3 more picks.
Yeah, I hear you. I appreciate you staying on though. I don't think we still only have one viewer, and I'm almost certain it's me. Whatever, dude. I don't care.
I did go to the YouTube while you stepped away.
Did you?
and
Okay. So we're gonna
I
have 2
checked it
views.
out. We're gonna have 2 views, at least.
I don't care, man. This is just fun. I do it for shits and giggles.
I agree. All right. We got the Bills.
So the Bills are up. I'm gonna keep saying edge rusher, although I think the writing's on the wall at this point. This could be Will Johnson. I think that
This
they
could be.
want. I think they want secondary. They need secondary help.
Yes.
So Will Johnson, Maxwell Hairston's also in play. By the way, James got that pick wrong. So my Josh Simmons pick still in play. I might be able to tie this up. What did I? Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll keep Hairston around because the Rams might trade up.
I think
But
Simmons.
Commanders probably won't.
I think Simmons goes to the Chiefs.
Maybe. I don't think they're sold on. Like, I don't think they're locked in on an offensive lineman. Is the point I'm trying to make. But I don't, unless it's one of those edge rushers, I don't know where they would go. They could use interior D-line help, but like all of them are off the board. Even Tyleik Williams, who I didn't think would go round 1. The Bills.
I mean, there's still some good edge rushers.
I could see the Bills taking an offensive lineman. They could use some depth. But you're not really looking for depth in round 1, unless it's tackle. I think Luther Burden could be in play here, but my guess is this is Will Johnson, Maxwell Hairston, or Nick Emmanwori. I think McAfee just ate a cheese curd.
Actually, I was at B-Dubs like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Got some cheese curds, man. They were good.
Love cheese curds. Man, I love seeing this in Green Bay. It's awesome. I wish I was there. Draft is so much fun. Yeah. Next year when it's in Pittsburgh, I really want to try to make that trip.
I'm actually going to Pittsburgh tomorrow.
For
my brother-in-law is going to be competing in a bodybuilding show in
very nice.
Pittsburgh
Very
over the
nice.
weekend.
So where are you living now? Is it New Jersey?
Yeah, I live in New Jersey.
Okay. And you're from New Jersey, right?
Raised here, born in Florida.
Okay, I don't remember that. I remember you saying you were from New Jersey during our time at Chick-fil-A and being a big Eagles fan. I don't remember the Florida thing. Maybe you have mentioned that to me. But where in New Jersey?
So
you don't have to say the high school. You can just say the city.
As an outsider of New Jersey for you, we like to break down New Jersey into 3 parts. We have North, Central.
I think of the parts. Yeah, North, Central, South.
And South. But a lot of people outside will just say, "Oh, there's North Jersey and there's South Jersey and there's no
Pick
Central
his name,
Jersey."
by the way.
Oh, love it.
But yeah, North, Central, South. I think you were from South Jersey.
Actually, at Central Jersey.
Okay. I was gonna. Central would have been second for me. I knew you weren't a North Jersey guy, like New York City area.
No. But I can say I do technically live in South Jersey now.
Okay. That might be what I'm thinking of.
But yeah, no. Yeah, it's good. Do you? But I mean, well, what about you? You're in Texas.
I am in Texas. I am in Southeast Texas. about an hour in Beaumont. I'll go ahead and say it. Beaumont, about an hour and a half east of Houston, almost right on the Louisiana border, about 30 minutes west of the Louisiana border. I am just barely in Texas.
That's wild.
Where I live, it looks like Louisiana but like you see a bunch of Texas state flags. It looks like swamp, but there's like Texas state flags. It's very interesting. It's the same area, just they took the river. Eagles on the clock. Probably 31, I would imagine. They traded up with Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, this is practically the exact same area as Louisiana. They just took a river and said, this is the border.
You've been there for a couple of years now, right? You've been there.
Yeah, I've been here for 4 years. Over 4 years. A little over 4 years. I showed up here April 17th, 2021.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a little over 4 years. Maxwell Hairston off the board. All right, so it's up to Josh Simmons now for me. Who could the Eagles be trading up for? Eamon Warry? I don't know. Maybe one of the edge rushers. That'd be very Howie thing.
I mean, they do need to replace.
They do need some, yeah. I would say
honestly,
it's
defensive
one of the edge
line.
rushers. Yeah,
Defensive line.
I think it's Ezraku or Green, one of the two. Mike Green's still on the board, right?
Mike Green is still on the board.
I think so. James just texted me. What's he have to say? Man, that Kelvin Banks pick, if it wasn't for that, I'd be 3 for 32, which would be my worst. But I said I'd be satisfied with 4, and I kind of am. This has to be an edge rusher. I don't know what else it would be. The defensive tackles are off the board for the most part, unless there's another surprise like Tyreek Williams.
I'm trying to find it.
Could be Will Johnson. Could be Will Johnson.
See, I don't think it is.
I don't really think
I don't think they're taking a corner.
That's something I don't think that they really need. Even though they lost Darius Slay, I think they're okay to wait till day 2 to get one. But I mean, Will Johnson's there, one of the top guys on the board.
Kind of look. Okay, I found it. Eagles trade pick number 32.
Yeah, it wasn't much. I think it was just a 5th. I thought I saw that.
Oh, the pick is in.
So how many trades is that this round? 4?
That's 4.
5?
Because we saw Jacksonville.
Yeah.
We saw
the Giants moved up.
The Giants.
The
we
Falcons,
saw the Falcons.
And the Eagles. I think it's just 4.
Yeah, it's 4.
This is going about the way I thought. I didn't think there'd be many trades. I figured teams would want to move back, but no one would be willing to move up unless for a quarterback. Pick is in. Pick is in. Who could it be?
Maybe this is where
Mike Green is still on the board. Okay, just want to make sure. I think it's Mike Green or Ezraku. This has been fun, man. This is fun.
This has been fun.
I appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Glad to be here. And
I love doing live shows during the draft. It's so much fun. But this has been kind of a meh draft. There hasn't been a whoa, that dude got picked there. This team drafted this guy. I love that pick. I hate that pick. It's just kind of been Okay. It's been
Yeah.
kind of boring. Not boring. It's always entertaining, but like, okay, this has gone about the way I thought it would. Just very odd. Usually there's one pick or two for each where you're like, man, I can't believe they drafted that guy, or wow, they got a steal here. And there really hasn't been one.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any steals, that's for sure.
Unless Will Johnson comes off the board here, but there has not been a pick where I'm just like, I'm pounding the table. Yes, this was a great pick. Who could it be here? Who could it be?
It's got to be an edge. Got to be an edge rusher.
I would imagine so. I'm going to keep saying Will Johnson, though, just because he's still on the board. Who do you think Howie would like more, Ezeraku or Mike Green? No idea.
You know what? Let's see.
I don't know.
Hmm. Well, according to the RAS, is that it? The RAS rating?
Yeah. That's just athleticism, though.
He's got an 86.1
Who is that?
as a Rocky.
Yeah, he tested well. He's just not that big.
6'2", 248. Oh, and he's also from New Jersey. You know what?
I'm
He's
not
gonna come
surprised.
home.
Ended up at Boston College. I'm not surprised. Yeah, he tested well. I think Green also tested well. I could be wrong about that, though.
Mike Green is actually tested at 87.3.
Yeah, I thought he tested pretty well. And if you get an 8, that's what they call an elite score. And I thought they both. Well, that's the other thing with this draft. It's hardly anyone tested. A lot of not like NA, not applicables, just because guys wouldn't test. And I hope that doesn't become the norm. Did I just see Jahad Campbell? Surely not. Oh, I think they're just hyping him up. He's still on the board too. I don't think Philly would do that. That's very atypical of Howie. Going off-ball linebacker in the first round. I don't think so.
Howie is never going to take a linebacker in the first round.
I don't. That's very atypical. But Green Bay took a wide receiver this draft.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I don't either. It's gotta be one of the edge players or Campbell. Not Campbell, Johnson. Maybe Emanwari. The pick has been in. Come on. Have mercy. Give me something. I'm going to Twitter. There's always someone who has it on Twitter before ESPN can show it. Let's see if I can find it. This is awesome. I didn't know. Okay. I had it muted. Apparently, Clay Matthews got up before the draft started and said, I have an executive order, I guess from President Trump, and said the Bears still suck, and he posted it. I knew he got up there and said it because I did hear that, and then I muted it, or maybe beforehand, and then I unmuted it to listen to that, and I missed that it was an executive order because then I saw people saying it is Jahad Campbell. Wow, he took a linebacker round 1. Holy crap! Did not expect that.
Nope.
Well, I kind of did, but Eagles and Packers breaking all kinds of traditions.
That's wild.
Good pick. I think Jahad Campbell's a good player. And he's like Jalen Walker. I think he can get pressure on the quarterback at the second level. Unlike Jalen Walker, I don't think he can come off the edge. Maybe he can a little bit, but he can get pressure from the second level and he can help with that pass rush. I'm really surprised that these dudes are still available. Mike Green and Ezra Raku. Chiefs on the clock. Give me Josh Simmons. I need Josh Simmons. I need Josh Simmons here.
Oh, the pick is in. It's fast.
Wow. Chiefs, I would imagine one of the edge rushers, I'm going to keep saying it, Will Johnson or Josh Simmons. But if it depends on medicals, I guess, but Will Johnson, if he had medical red flags, which I seems like he did, and teams are worried, I assume Josh Simmons also has those concerns. He also had medical red flags because he tore his he had some sort of nasty injury. I think it was his patellar tendon. Is that a thing?
Yes, that is the thing.
Okay. I think he tore that, so we'll see. I need Josh Simmons here. Connerly's off the board. I don't think it'll be him, or clearly it won't be him. I don't know of another offensive lineman. Like Travion Henderson is kind of a wild card here. I saw his name sneaking around one on some mock drafts. Luther Burden might be in play, but I don't think so.
I think it's going to be an offensive lineman.
I would imagine so. It could be one of these edge rushers. Just because they're still on the board. Like, take a chance on them, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, even if they don't.
BPA approach, I don't know. Will Johnson still available? Like, the board has fallen pretty well for them, I would imagine. Although, this could be one of those situations where the NFL just wasn't as high on him as draft experts were.
That's true.
And that happens all the time. Like we say, this dude's going to be a steal. I'm like, or what's the NFL thinking? Like, if they're all on the same page, like that clearly means that they didn't value him as highly as, as the experts, so-called experts. I remember that happened a couple of years ago with who was the tight end from Georgia? Not Brock Bowers. Darnell Washington, was that his name? Behemoth of a person, like 6'7", 280, huge dude. And a lot of people had him going first round, and he fell to the third. And everyone been like, "Why is he still here? This is ridiculous." I'm like, the NFL just clearly wasn't as high on him as you guys, and that's okay. All right, pick is in. So yeah, only 4 trades. I was right. This has been about the way I thought it would go.
Darnell Washington.
Yeah, I thought that was his name. I knew Washington was his last name. I wasn't sure of the first name. I need Josh Simmons here. I need it. I can't lose to James again. Yes! There it is. It just came through, baby. All right. I just woke up my neighbors, I'm sure. I live in an apartment.
That's fair. I'm trying to be quiet. I can't wake up next door.
We are tied, son.
So what happened to the tie?
Tied up. I don't know. It's never happened. This is going to be cheating. I really want to defer to Jackson Dart because I had the Giants taking him in round 2 in my mock draft. I think I should. James just said buzzer beater. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yeah, I kind of want to defer to Jackson Dart because I got that right. Even though I had him round 2. It might go. I don't know. We could go that way, although that's kind of. I don't know. That's kind of unfair. We could just go who had the most players right in the first round. And I think James takes that.
But could you? Because I know that you guys wagered on other
5
things
out of
too.
32 ain't bad, man. I'll take it this year, honestly.
32 is not bad. I honestly wish I had kept better track for
I
myself.
think it's 5 out of 32. There was one year where I said we finished tied, and I told James that, and he was like, oh, "Okay, whatever." We go to sleep. I wake up and I double check, and he ended up getting 7, and I miscounted. It was Trent McDuffie. He got that right. I didn't. And I was like, "Hey, I got news for you. I was wrong last night. You won." He was like, "What?" I said, "You got Trent McDuffie. I miscounted." All right, so that's the first round. Not a ton of shocking picks. And I thought there was a chance there could be with this board being so even, like after the top 10. And that's not the way it fell. The biggest surprise might have been Tyleik Williams sneaking in the first round. But that's what was that pick? 28? I mean,
Yes.
at 28, that's a second round pick in terms of value. So that's not that big of a deal. They clearly liked him. The Lions clearly liked him, and they knew he wouldn't be there at, what would that be, 60 in round 2. That might be the biggest surprise. I think more the biggest surprise is Will Johnson still on the board, Donovan Ezraku still on the board, Mike Green still on the board. So a lot of players that we thought would go round 1 did not. So what are your thoughts, Armand? I don't want to keep you too long. I know you want to get to bed.
I would say, yeah, it was very uneventful in that sense. But I do think that there were like that one pick at 28 was surprising. But I would say there are some big names that are still to be had on day 2 and for rounds 2 and 3. I think that Ezraku probably goes early in the second round. I think that Will Johnson probably goes early in the second round.
Yeah.
Now the biggest question also is, which I think is going to be talked
Shedeur
about
Sanders.
because, yep,
That
it's
was
gonna
I
be.
forgot about him. Yep, another player fell to round 2. That's not a huge surprise.
It's not a surprise, but I think that it's going to be
Well,
very talked about.
when quarterbacks specifically don't go to the draft, I think that's pretty telling. And Shedeur Sanders didn't go. Jackson Dart was originally going to go and then opted out. And that raised red flags. I had Shedeur Sanders going round 1, and I thought Jackson Dart would sneak in round 1, and he did. But I thought there would be 3 quarterbacks taken. I did think Shedeur would sneak in somewhere. I thought Pittsburgh, and then I thought the Giants would come back up for Dart. I'm curious to see what happens to Shedeur, but that shouldn't come as a huge surprise because he didn't choose to go. And for quarterbacks specifically, not so much position players, but quarterbacks specifically, I think that that's pretty telling because they know if they go and they're not convinced they'll go round 1, the camera's going to be on them all the time.
Mhm.
And I don't think Shedeur wanted to experience that. I don't think Jackson Dart wanted to experience that. Now, I believe Jalen Milroe is there for the draft,
Yep.
and he's not going round 1. But I think that's kind of an outlier because Jalen Milroe strikes me as a high character guy. I think he was just like, I want this experience. This is going to be awesome. I don't care if I go round 1. I just want to be there. And also, there's also the possibility that if I'm still on the board, likely Shedeur still on the board and Dart still on the board. And it doesn't make me look as bad. The cameras aren't going to be on me. They're going to be on Shedeur or Dart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the conversation is going to be about them, not so much Milroe.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, if you're not going to be a first round pick, I think I would, and they invited me, I would go too.
I would too. Like if I'm not going to get picked in the first round. I'll be surprised. Like if it'll be awesome if I do, but I'm not expecting it. And
Yeah,
I'm like the 4th guy on the board or at the position that's going to get picked, So the pressure is not on him. That's why I think this is an outlier for Milroe. I think Milroe just wanted to show up because he was appreciative. This is an awesome experience, and he just wanted to be there.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And even something I was listening to on the NFL Network earlier today was that he actually was at the NFL draft last year, and a couple of his friends who played on Alabama, he went there, he supported them. So, he's there, he's enjoying his time.
Oh, I like Milrow. I don't know where he'll go now that Shadur's on the board.
Steelers second round.
If he makes it that far, which he might. I mean, with quarterback inflation, like most of these guys are going round 1, and then a quarterback's not taken again until round 4 or 5 in recent years. That's going to be different this year. Like Shadur's going to go at some point in round 2, I would imagine. And Milrow's going to hear his name called, I think, relatively early. Shadur might be there round 2, honestly, to Pittsburgh. I don't know if he can get by Cleveland, though, who I think starts off round 2.
Yeah, yeah. He actually could be the first pick in the second round.
I think that's what's going to happen. I would imagine that's what's going to happen. So, anyway, I would say the biggest surprises, are, I don't mean to keep you up, but who didn't go first round is more of the conversation. Yeah. So, going to be an interesting round 2 and day 2. I might like day 2 more than day 1, honestly. I don't know about you. Where do you stand on that issue?
I think that day 1 is more flashy. I think that day 2 is where you definitely build your teams.
Yeah.
And that's where you're gonna find like those ready to go. That's where you're gonna find those 11 through 32 players of that draft.
And we're getting into where the depth of this class is. But in general, I enjoy day 2 because it's Friday night. You don't have to be at work tomorrow. You can stay up late. And I'm going to have draft coverage on all weekend, but I don't know. I think because you get 2 rounds on Friday night.
Yes, I agree. I think honestly, if the first round was shortened and they actually did rounds 1 and 2 on the first night, I think it would be more enjoyable.
I agree. But I honestly love the setup the way it is. Round 1 Thursday, 2 and 3 Friday, 4 through 7 on Saturday.
It's fair.
Any other thoughts, Armand? I don't want to keep you much longer.
No, I think that, well, again, thank you very much for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for coming on. I know I've kept you up late. You're an hour ahead of me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, been up since 5.
Jeez, dude, go to bed. Go to bed. I'm sorry I've kept you on so long. I feel bad now.
No, it's okay, man. It's
been so awesome catching up with you. I've been meaning to have you on this podcast ever since whatever episode it was. I think it was when Carson Wentz got traded in 2021.
It was.
And we had you on, and I lost that episode because of my laptop. Basically the laptop wouldn't work unless it was plugged in, and like I think accidentally knocked the cable off, like the charging cable, lost the recording. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I've been trying to have you on since. I know I have asked you, I think every year since then, want to do a live draft show. I think I've done it every year. And you have begrudgingly declined until this year. You were like, you know what? I think I can do it this year.
I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you had to have you on, man. We didn't get very many views, I would imagine, but we do it for fun. We do it for shits and giggles. I love the draft. I would do a live show every year if I could. I hate doing it by myself, and I enjoy having someone here with me. So I appreciate you coming on. It's been awesome to catch up with you. And we didn't get to all the stuff I wanted to talk about. We reminisced about Chick-fil-A a little bit, and we never got back to it. But it really felt like this round was moving. Like
it did.
By the time we were like, okay, the pick is in. Like, who could it be? Okay, who's up next? Like, oh, the pick is in again. Like it felt like we were moving tonight.
Well, we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, we will. I don't know when I'll have you on again, but you're always welcome, my man.
Hey, find a good topic. We'll hop in, you and James, and we'll get it going.
When I said you were coming on, James was really excited. I was hoping he'd join at the last second, but I know James, when he doesn't give an answer, it means it ain't happening. He texted me. We were supposed to podcast 2 weeks ago, and he said, like, he gave me a time, and I said, okay, we can do it then. And he said, I'm gonna have to change that. I was like, I know what happens here. You're not gonna do it. And then hours went by, and he never got back with me. And I knew after like an hour, I was like, this dude ain't coming on the podcast. This dude ain't podcasting. And he texted me like that night, like, my bad, dude. That's all he said, like, my bad. And I was like, don't worry about it. I knew after about an hour that this wasn't gonna happen.
At least you knew. At least you knew.
All right, bud. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Yeah,
Go get
no
some
problem.
sleep now.
Thank you. All right, sir. Good talking with you. Later.
Good talking to you. All right. I really love having Armand on. I've been trying to get him on for years, and he's always been too busy. And then finally he was able to come on. I was able to make up for, I've had him on, I think, multiple times and lost the episode because I'm not very tech savvy. And I'm so happy he was able to come on. I love Armand. Need to talk to that dude more. As for the draft, like I said multiple times tonight, this has gone about the way I thought it would. Now, I didn't get very many picks right. This year, I got 5 out of 32, which not a great day, not a bad day. Definitely not my best. I think my best is 8 out of 32. 5, I said if I got 4, I'd be satisfied. So I'm happy with 5. 5 correct picks. Board kind of fell the way we thought it would. Maybe, I guess. Well, that's not true, I guess, with Johnson and Ezeraku and Green still on the board and Shedeur. Fell weird. The board fell weird. I think that's more of the story. Guys who didn't get in the first round than anyone who snuck in. The biggest surprise, I think, was Tyreek Williams. I don't know who else it would be. A lot of people had Donovan Jackson. Let me look at Wikipedia real quick. NFL draft. Let's look at the draft tracker. Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, I think, was kind of a shock. Tyler Booker, Abuka, Barron, Harmon, Hampton, Golden, Jackson, Dart, maybe Dart, but I honestly thought Dart would sneak in. Pierce, Starks, Williams. Yeah, I think Williams might be the biggest shock. I had Connerly in the first round all offseason until this week. Maxwell Harrison was a name that everyone thought would sneak in this week. Donovan Jackson was a name everyone thought would sneak in the first round this week. Like there weren't very many surprises of dudes sneaking in the first round. The biggest surprises are the dudes who got left out, I would say. Shedeur, Will Johnson, Ezeraku, Mike Green. I don't know what the reasons could be. Shedeur is a flawed prospect, not a great quarterback class, and we're talking a flawed prospect, so not a huge surprise he makes it to round 2. I guess I am surprised that Dart went ahead of him. And then Ezeraku, I don't know what the issue there is. I would imagine just the league's not that high on him. Small guy, very productive in college, but not very big. That probably held him back. He's about 6'2", 248, 250, not the biggest dude. And just, probably just one of the scenarios the league just wasn't that high on him. I'm not surprised with Mike Green. I saw some character red flags, but I figured someone would take a chance on him. And then Will Johnson, we knew there were some medical concerns there. I'm a little surprised. I guess he made it to round 2, but it shouldn't be a huge surprise. I thought his range would be somewhere between 13 to 23. So the fact he's making it to round 2 isn't a huge shock, but it is a little surprising. And clearly, like the league is concerned about his medicals. I don't know what else to talk about. The biggest winner of the biggest winner of this draft. Let me pull that back up. There weren't very many picks that, like I said, that I loved. It was a lot of, okay, this makes sense kind of picks. Like there wasn't a pick where I'm like, I don't get that. I mean, Ward, Hunter. I mean, that might be the biggest I don't get it pick is maybe Hunter, but Hunter to Jacksonville, Campbell, Graham, Genty, Membu, McMillan. All these make sense. Booker. Grant was surprising just because Nolan was still on the board. Warren, all these picks make sense. Shamar Stewart, Gray Zabel, Ibuka. See, I think Ibuka makes sense to the Bucks because Mike Evans is getting older and Chris Godwin's getting older. That makes sense to me. Jahdae Barron makes sense. Derek Harmon makes sense. Hampton makes sense. Maybe, well, even Golden makes sense because the Green Bay needs a deep threat other than Christian Watson. Donovan Jackson, but Minnesota could have used help in the interior of its offensive line. Dart makes sense. Giants need a quarterback. Falcons needed an edge rusher. Ravens could have used a safety. I mean, we're at pick 28 and Tyreek Williams to the Lions. That was a surprise. I didn't think they'd go interior D-line. I thought they'd go edge rusher. I'm not shocked it was interior D-line, but I thought they were good there. And with the way the board fell, I'm surprised Tyreek Williams was on their board, or they considered a first-round pick. Good player. He struck me early day two. I mean, we're at 28. That's like the one pick where I'm like, I'm not sure I understand it. Commanders with Connerly makes sense. Bills with Hairston makes sense. Eagles and Campbell, they didn't really need him, but they're the Eagles. Like they're good everywhere. And then 32, the Chiefs with Simmons. I don't think there's a pick here other than, in terms of like which player, like it was a surprise that Loveland went before Warren. It was a surprise that Grant went before Walter Nolan. This draft went the way we thought it would. And this is very surprising. Drafts don't go this way. There's usually one pick where you're like, they picked who? And then there's one team where you're like, I can't believe they got him here. Wow. It happens every year. And this year it really didn't. Just very surprising. Very atypical of a draft. And I think that goes to show probably the talent that was on the board. Not a great draft. And teams kind of stood pat and just said, I think a lot of teams actually wanted to trade back and they just couldn't find a trade partner, couldn't find the right value, whatever. And they just said, okay, we're going to stay here. We're going to take a player that we like. And it feels like the experts nailed it. Like there weren't very many surprise. Like this board went the kind of the way we thought it would. Like I think the experts were kind of on the money here. Other than Ezraku, that's I think, and Shadur, maybe those are the two biggest surprises. I'm not surprised Will Johnson, I guess, with medicals fell to round 2. Mike Green with character, I guess, concerns fell to round 2. Yeah, I know I'm just kind of saying the same thing all over again, but just very atypical. Very, very atypical. Very entertaining. Felt like we were moving tonight. I can't believe this is at 3:27. Very, very odd. I enjoyed it. Didn't get to talk about it, but I'm dressed like Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the polo and the tie. I love that show, and I wanted to do that as a gag gift. Yeah. Day 2. I would expect to hear Shadur's name very early. I would expect to hear Will Johnson's name very early. I would expect to hear Donovan Ezraku's name early. Mike Green, we'll see with those character concerns. I'm assuming maybe it could just be the league's not that high on him. I think all 4 are going to hear their name pretty early with the top half of round 2. So anyway, for those that listened, I appreciate it. I love this stuff. I love Armand coming on. I had a lot of fun. 11 o'clock, time to go to bed. So it was a good first round. I snuck in a buzzer beater with Josh Simmons going to the Chiefs. That really saved my mock draft, or else I was going to lose to James again. So A lot of fun. I always enjoy this time of year. Everyone, have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. For those that love the draft, like I do, I'm going to have it on a weekend. Enjoy it. Only comes around once a year. So anyway, I'll leave that there. Thank you for tuning in. If you've showed up, thank you. I appreciate it. Let's have a good weekend.